Chapter 13-15. If it was a non-blood type Fae, even if Lin Yuan asked Bai Yen to kill it, the mother of Bloodbath could not absorb it at all. The blood energy of those sea kings was currently gathered in Shark Ray's body. The battle would constantly consume the blood energy in Shark Ray's body. This was undoubtedly bad news for the mother of Bloodbath. It might even cause the mother of Bloodbath to not be able to rely on Shark Ray's blood energy to fully awaken the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline. Thinking of this, Lin Yuan hurriedly shouted at Bai Yen. Bai Yen, finish this battle quickly. Use your strongest attack to finish her off. When Bai Yen heard Lin Yuan's command, his expression immediately turned solemn, and he no longer talked nonsense with Shark Ray. Bai Yan's 3,000-meter-long crocodile body shone with holy light, and the totem above his left eye spun rapidly and finally turned into a black hole. Bai Yen appeared in midair in his sacred source body state. Bai Yen, who was in his sacred origin body, did not immediately attack the Shark Ray. At that moment, Bai Yen was excitedly guiding the power of faith that Lin Yuan had injected into his body. A large amount of power of faith gathered in the black hole above Bai Yan's left eye. Immediately after, an object that was beating like a heart appeared in the black hole above Bai Yan's left eye. At that moment, Bai Yan's aura, which was originally competing with Shark Ray, suddenly rose. A large amount of cloud chi gathered around Bai Yen, and the cloud chi constantly turned into a huge, ferocious crocodile head phantom. It was as if it wanted to devour everything in the world into its stomach. After sensing Bai Yan's aura, Shark Ray's expression turned extremely ugly. Bai Yan's aura made Shark Ray feel an indescribable pressure. It even gave Shark Ray the thought of immediately retreating. However, Shark Ray had a reason to retreat at that moment. After all, there was a disciple of Her Majesty here. If he retreated now, everything he had done would definitely spread throughout the Radiance sect. He had launched an attack in the Radiance sect's territorial waters, and his goal was to seize a large whale fall. If this matter spread, it would be seen as him unilaterally tearing up the Radiance Sea Treaty. That bitch, Yin Dai, was still alive. Yin Dai might have been ostracized by the Sea Emperor clan, and the Sea Emperor clan had declined. However, Yin Dai was a member of the Sea Emperor 8 clans, and she was recognized by all the Sea clans as the Sea Emperor. If Yin Dai could testify against him, the Radiance sect would definitely attack the Sea race. At that time, even if he ran away, the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids clan would have to take the blame for him. The Sea region was only so big, and there were only so many resources. Everywhere was full of competition. The Sea region had never been peaceful. The upper 3 races were always fighting more intensely than the lower 5 races. The Imperial Mermaid clan was currently ranked second among the top 3 clans, closely followed by the Imperial Skate clan. The Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids had to take full responsibility for the Radiance sect's actions. The Imperial Skate clan might use this as an excuse to attack the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids during the God of the Sea Assembly. He wanted to pull the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids from the 2nd place to the 3rd place, so that the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids could take the 2nd place. The ranking of the 8 clans of the Ocean Empire was directly related to the distribution of the ocean's resources. If so, he would become a sinner of the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids clan. As the younger sister of the leader of the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids clan, she was the eldest princess of the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids clan. Shark Mang was truly afraid that he would turn from a respected being of the Imperial Mermaids and Merman clan into a rat on the street. In addition, the sacred source life form, the Scarlet Tentacle Algae, had already been built. The Scarlet Tentacle Algae would need some time to build the Scarlet Tentacle Algae, and it would also take time to retrieve it. If he ran away, the Scarlet Tentacle Algae was destined to be abandoned here. Be it phase or spirit chi professionals, sacred source lifeforms were the most precious existences. Shark Mang was unwilling to leave its sacred source lifeform, the Scarlet Tentacle Algae, here. Shark Mang revealed a crazed expression as it felt the pressure. Shark Mang immediately used its strongest killing move. A dark red color condensed in Shark Mang's mouth, and it spat out a dark red giant shark. The giant shark carried the blood sea's aura and braved the wind and waves as it slammed toward Bai Yan. Looking at the blood-red giant shark ray, which was spitting at him, Bai Yan shouted. "I've been waiting for you to make the first move." Bai Yan didn't try to dodge. He stood in place as the blood-red shark approached. Bai Yan extended his hand towards the giant red shark ray that was shooting towards him, and directly stuffed the entire giant red shark ray into his mouth. The moment he swallowed the giant shark, Bai Yan's body exuded a layer of blood mist. Slowly, blood flowed out of Bai Yan's orifices. It was obvious that Bai Yan had suffered serious injuries in order to swallow Shark Mang's attack. Under Shark Mang's flabbergasted gaze, Bai Yan suddenly opened his mouth. A red and white beam of light shot out from Bai Yan's mouth and blasted at Shark Mang. No matter how Shark Mang dodged, the beam of light landed firmly on Shark Mang's body as though it had a navigation system. Bai Yan's sacred source body's ability was repeat. In order to unleash the power of repeat, he had to swallow the opponent's attack. Only then could he fuse his attack with the opponent's attack and return it to the opponent. With the opponent's attack as a guide, Bai Yan's attack had a navigation ability for a short period of time. Under normal circumstances, Bai Yan would not easily swallow an opponent's attack like Shark Mang, which was about the same strength as him. It would be easy for him to be injured. However, since Lin Yuan had ordered for a quick battle, Bai Yan could not care so much anymore. Shark Mang, which was hit by Bai Yan's attack, spat out blood and fell to the ground. At this moment, Shark Mang was seriously injured, but he did not die. As a peak immortal ocean emperor, Shark Mang would not die so easily. The instant Shark Mang fell to the island, Bai Yan had already flashed to Shark Mang's side. As an apostle, surviving in the dangerous swamp world had always been a matter of life and death. Therefore, when facing enemies, Bai Yan had never cared about martial ethics. Bai Yan had always adhered to the principle of being heavy-handed if he could, and not leaving anyone alive if he could kill. The totem behind Bai Yan, who had come to Shark Mang's side, rotated, and the huge crocodile inside the totem suddenly shot out more than 20 holy light beams. These 20 holy light beams hit the important joints of the mermaid's body, directly shattering all of them. If Shark Mang had suffered an attack from Bai Yan's sacred art, it could still resist. Now that Shark Mang's joints had been destroyed and it could not move, it had completely become an animal waiting to be slaughtered by Bai Yan. Bai Yan immediately reached out and grabbed Shark Mang, who had collapsed on the ground, and fiercely pinched Shark Mang's skull. Feeling the impending death, Shark Mang could no longer hold it in and shouted with all the strength in its body, "You can't kill me. I'm the biological sister of the Imperial Mermaid Clan's clan leader, the Imperial Mermaid Clan's Princess Royal. Does the Radiance Clan want to start a war with the Sea Clan?" ABC. Chapter 13-16. Guan snorted and said to Shark Ray, "The one who disregarded the Hui Hai Treaty is you. The one who disregarded the Hui Hai Treaty is you. If you were concerned about the Hui Hai Treaty, why would you come to the Radiance Empire's territorial sea? How would you be seriously injured? You know how to bring up the Hui Hai Treaty at this time. Do you think the Hui Hai Treaty signed by their holiness and the sea race is a joke? Moreover, you just had the intention to kill their holiness disciple. What qualifications do you have to talk about your identity now?" Lin Yuan looked at the mother of Bloodbath's struggling body because of the awakening of the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline. He immediately lifted its tail and ordered Bai Yan. "Bai Yan, don't talk nonsense with her. Kill her." After speaking, Lin Yuan looked at Shark Ray with a knife-like gaze. Just as Shark Ray's life was about to dissipate in Bai Yan's hands, Lin Yuan said coldly, "This matter is not over even if you die. It's not over even if you die. If the mother of Bloodbath dies today, I will use all means to bury the entire Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids race with the mother of Bloodbath. Even if the mother of Bloodbath survives, the Imperial Mermaid race is destined to pay the price in blood. From today onwards, the Imperial Mermaid race will be my eternal enemy." Lin Yuan's words were powerful and full of determination. Before Shark Ray's consciousness dissipated, it heard Lin Yuan's words and felt a chill in its soul. Before it could think more, it lost its life. However, the others present were deep in thought because of Lin Yuan's words. Lu Jia, the slaughterer butterfly, and Bai Yan were all on Lin Yuan's side and always acted according to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan's will was the goal of Lu Jia, the slaughterer butterfly, and Bai Yan. Guan knew Lin Yuan's identity as the Moon Empress disciple and understood that every word Lin Yuan said had incomparable power. Let's not talk about whether the Moon Empress would help Lin Yuan destroy the entire Imperial Mermaid race after the death of this severely injured Spider Fae. Or whether Lin Yuan had his own means to annihilate the entire Imperial Mermaid race. In short, the enmity between Lin Yuan and the Imperial Mermaid race was formed. According to what Lin Yuan had just said, even if that Arachne Fae survived, it would not be able to survive. Lin Yuan was still prepared to fight with the Imperial Mermaid race to the end. Lin Yuan had won the Civil and Martial Duel Championship at the Nyx Assembly and obtained a Radiant Light Medal. For Lin Yuan to have such strength at his age, it was enough to show that Lin Yuan's talent was higher than Zhong Zhe, Gu Lang, and An He. With such talent, Lin Yuan would definitely be able to surpass Zhong Zhe, Gu Lang, and An He within 2 years. It could be said that as long as no accidents happened in these 2 years, it was almost certain that Lin Yuan would become a Radiance envoy. The power in Lin Yuan's words could not represent the entire Radiance. At most, he could only represent the Radiant Moon Palace. However, when Lin Yuan became the Radiance envoy, his words were enough to represent the will of the entire Radiance envoys. It was very likely that Lin Yuan's words today would be the beginning of the conflict between the Hui Yao and the Ocean Imperial 8 clans, the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids. Just as Guan was pondering, and he also spoke. Today, the people of the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids clan want to kill all of us here. I will definitely tell my master about this when I get back. The Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids have publicly broken the Hui Hai Treaty. The Mermaids and Mermaids must give us an explanation. When Guan heard An He's words, the corner of his mouth twitched. Not to mention anything else, the difference between An He and Lin Yuan could be seen just from the way they spoke. An He's words involved Lord Lamp and the entire Hui Yao. However, Lin Yuan only mentioned himself in his words. It was enough to show that Lin Yuan was more independent than Anha. When encountering problems, Anha would seek Lord Long Lamp's help more often, while Lin Yuan had already begun to take charge when encountering problems. Even if they were facing the entire Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids clan. However, the two of them had different opinions on the same matter, and it was enough to show the difference between the two of them. It seemed like An He had not only lost to Lin Yuan in terms of strength, but he had also lost in terms of the situation. Yin Dai was in an exceptionally good mood the moment Mermaid Mang died. The death of Shark Mang announced that Yin Dai would no longer have to face the danger of being killed, nor would she have to flee for her life in the sea. However, Shark Mang's death also meant that he had to testify for the Radiance faction. Otherwise, the Radiance faction would never spare him. They could testify that the mermaids tore the Hui Hai Treaty. Not only did they put the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids clan on fire. This caused the entire sea race to bear the infamy of treachery. In the conflict with the mermaid, 3 of His Holiness's disciples were almost killed. How could the Radiance faction let this go? Yin Dai did not expect that she had just escaped the fate of fleeing for her life in the sea, and now she was forced to become a sinner of the sea race. It did not matter whether her testifying for the Radiance faction was right or wrong, or how many gains and losses there were. However, from the standpoint of the sea race, she was definitely wrong. This made Yin Dai know that if she wanted to develop or survive in the future, she had to cling tightly to the Radiance faction. If she could not cling to the Radiance faction, she would have no backing. The Imperial Mermaids clan would definitely be the first to find her and ask her to explain for Shark Mang's death. Yin Dai thought about her situation and exclusion in the Imperial Mermaids clan, and then thought about the internal decay of the sea race. Yin Dai's fists could not help but clench tightly. A somewhat bold and even absurd idea emerged in Yin Dai's mind. The vast sea was filled with sea emperors, and there were at least hundreds of sea emperors among the 8 clans in all the waters. The number of sea emperors of the sea race was more than the number of His Holiness on land. This was the sea race's confidence. However, the sea race had never united in the face of trouble. Otherwise, why would the 8 clans of the Sea Emperor clan unite and sign the Radiant Sea Treaty with the Radiance faction? Since the sea race had their own ulterior motives and had fallen apart, why couldn't a Sea Emperor rule the 4 Sea Emperors and let the sea race walk towards prosperity? This idea stirred Yin Dai's heart. It was as though a seed had been planted in Yin Dai's heart. Lin Yuan had said those words without considering the consequences and his identity as the Moon Empress disciple. He had also not considered what kind of impact saying such words would have. Lin Yuan's words were completely in accordance with his heart. The moment the mother of Bloodbath was pierced by the black thorns and turned into a hedgehog, Lin Yuan's heart had an unprecedented viciousness. The battle with Shark Mang had made Lin Yuan understand a principle. Shark Mang had dared to exploit the loophole of the Radiant Sea Treaty and even ignored it. It was nothing more than its own strength that allowed Shark Mang to have such confidence. Lin Yuan understood that when a person was strong enough, they could break any rules and agreements. This made Lin Yuan completely understand the true meaning of respecting martial arts. Since martial arts were respected in this world, why not settle grudges and gratitude? At that moment, Lin Yuan's mentality changed again. Bai Yan had always kept Lin Yuan's orders in mind. After killing Shark Mang, Bai Yan hurriedly brought Shark Mang's body to Lin Yuan's side. ABC. Chapter 13-17. Without another word, Lin Yuan immediately took the Shark Ray's body from Bai Yan's hands. He then threw Shark Mang's body at the struggling Mother of Bloodbath. Mother of Bloodbath, the members of the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids are all Bloodwater dual phase. Try to absorb the blood energy in this mermaid's body. Call me if you need spiritual chi. Mother of Bloodbath, you must hold on and survive. At that moment, the Mother of Bloodbath could not even say a word under the torture of the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline. Even his consciousness had fallen into a blurry state. Instinctively, the Mother of Bloodbath keenly sensed the huge blood energy in Shark Ray's body. This blood energy was exactly what the Mother of Bloodbath needed right now. After the Mother of Bloodbath instinctively came into contact with Shark Ray's body, it immediately wanted to stab its spider legs into Shark Ray's body. However, the Shark Ray was a peak immortal fae after all. Even though it was a dead myth breed, the Mother of Bloodbath was still unable to pierce the Shark Ray's skin with its spider legs. Finally, as the Mother of Bloodbath's spider legs fumbled, it found the hole that Bai Yan had used the Holy Light Pillar to open on the mermaid's body. The Mother of Bloodbath's spider legs pierced through these holes and quickly absorbed the blood energy in Shark Mang's body. When Yin Dai realized her predicament and sneaked a peek at Lin Yuan's expression turned even graver than before. Bai Yan was no longer needed here. Lin Yuan found that Bai Yan's eyes had been staring at He and Lu Jie. In the dimensional world, the apostles could only maintain their human form with the help of the sacred source body. As long as Bai Yan wasn't stupid, he would definitely notice that something was wrong with the situation. Lin Yuan didn't want Bai Yan to stay in the origin world any longer. He was afraid that Bai Yan would notice something and become suspicious of his identity as a ruler. Lin Yuan withdrew the power of faith that he had injected into Bai Yan's body and removed the body of faith. Lin Yuan said to Bai Yan, "Bai Yan, stay here for a while." Then, Lin Yuan took out the treasure cave golden cicada's skin and stomach pouch. Lin Yuan did not immediately put Bai Yan into the spirit lock spatial zone and let him return to the dimensional world through it. Instead, he prepared to take out the treasure cave golden toad's skin and stomach to store Bai Yan away. It was because Lin Yuan did not trust Bai Yan enough. Although Bai Yan had entered the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone before, the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone was a very important matter, and Lin Yuan didn't wish for Bai Yan to step into it again. When Bai Yan heard Lin Yuan's instructions, he respectfully nodded at Lin Yuan and said, "All right, I'll leave now. Milord, if there's anything you need, just call me at any time. Bai Yan will be at your disposal at any time." Bai Yan had indeed discovered that something was wrong with the situation. Bai Yan had already keenly realized that he had arrived in a new world. That was because the laws and even the energy system of this world were completely different from the swamp world. Bai Yan had discovered this point when he was fighting against the shark ray. Bai Yan was naturally suspicious, but he did not have any thoughts of suspecting Lin Yuan's identity. When Bai Yan realized that he had arrived in a new world, he worshipped Lin Yuan even more. They thought that the Lord Ruler they followed was going to conquer another world. When Lin Yuan had manipulated the massive power of faith to pour into Bai Yan's body, Bai Yan had a feeling that he was the number one person below the ruler. Previously, Bai Yan's power of faith had only been above average, but it had reached an extremely powerful level due to Lin Yuan's enhancement. It was a whole new level. With such powerful power of faith, it was impossible for Lin Yuan not to be a ruler. Even if Lin Yuan was not a ruler, in Bai Yan's heart, Lin Yuan was a life form that was higher than a ruler. However, Lin Yuan had asked him to go back at this time, which obviously showed that he did not trust him. Bai Yan knew that if he could not obtain Lin Yuan's trust, he would never be able to become Lin Yuan's confidant. It was just that Bai Yan, who had always been alone in the swamp world, never knew how to curry favor with someone. Moreover, this person was the ruler he followed. Bai Yan felt that when he returned to his territory, he should call all of his believers over. Every day, these fellows would think of ways to curry favor with him. It was time for him to learn from them how to curry favor with the great sovereign. Bai Yan and the Void Shadow Demon had met face to face, and Bai Yan felt that his strength was far superior to the Void Shadow Demon. However, why could the Void Shadow Demon follow the Lord Ruler while he could not? It seemed that he was still not as good at licking as the Void Shadow Demon. The moment Bai Yan entered the treasure cave Golden Toad, Lin Yuan suddenly realized that Bai Yan's light spot in his shrine had suddenly grown several times larger. The light spot that belonged to Bai Yan was flickering brightly. After suddenly growing several times, it even showed signs of growing bigger. This made Lin Yuan feel much more at ease. The increase in Bai Yan's faith spot in the shrine represented Bai Yan's deeper loyalty and faith toward him. It seemed that he could trust Bai Yan well in the future. However, Lin Yuan was confused about the sudden increase in Bai Yan's power of faith. He clearly did not do anything. Things like faith were really hard to understand. Anyway, no matter what, Lin Yuan would not have thought that Bai Yan would use his imagination to deeply understand him. Bai Yan had completely become his bootlicker. Now that the mother of Bloodbath had awakened the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline, it did not need any military help. Everything was up to the mother of Bloodbath. The most Lin Yuan could do was to provide the mother of Bloodbath with blood energy and pure spirit chi. After its death, its sacred source life form, Scarlet Tentacle Algae, began to slowly wither. It could no longer maintain the original Scarlet Theater. The sacred source life form, Scarlet Tentacle Algae, had only withered, not died. This meant that the contract between the Shark Ray and Scarlet Tentacle Algae was not a marrow contract. It was just an ordinary contract. This was the best. If the blood energy in the Shark Mang's body was not enough for the mother of Bloodbath to absorb, the blood energy in the dying 6-star sacred source life form, Scarlet Tentacle Algae, would be the best tonic for the mother of Bloodbath. However, it was precisely because of this that the uneasiness in Lin Yuan's heart became increasingly serious. Compared to the risks in his hands, he was more afraid of risks that he could not control. According to Morbius True Data, the Scarlet Tentacle was a Pinnacle Class 6 Sacred Source life form. He was so close to advancing to 7-star and transforming from the growth stage to the mature stage. The blood energy in the body of a peak 6-star Scarlet Tentacle Algae was even more than the blood energy in the body of Shark Mang, the water and blood dual attribute Sea Emperor. The existence of the Scarlet Tentacle Algae ensured that the mother of Bloodbath had sufficient blood energy in the process of awakening the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline. This allowed Lin Yuan's uneasiness to subside a little. However, before the withering Scarlet Tentacle Algae could completely appear in the sky, a scorching, ribbon-like ray of sunlight descended from the 9 heavens. Chapter 13:18. This ribbon-like blazing light was like a chain hanging directly from the sun. It was dusk at that time, but the moment this sun chain descended, the entire world was as bright as noon. The sun chain burned and distorted the air, and the air was calcined into an overflowing red glow. The red glow circulated like the sun chain's armor. The sun chain landed on the mother of bloodbath's body without any explanation, dyeing its red crystal-like body with a layer of jade-like orange. The black spikes that were originally stuck in the mother of bloodbath's body turned into ashes under the sun chain's cleansing. It seemed like the mother of bloodbath was recovering from its injuries under the sun chain. However, the mother of bloodbath let out an extremely shrill scream. At that moment, the mother of bloodbath only felt that its internal organs were burning, and every inch of its cells was like a demon in the night being captured by a priest and burned under the blazing sun. The sun chain quickly awakened the celestial jade spider bloodline that the mother of bloodbath had just triggered. The mother of bloodbath originally had the bloodline of the scarlet tarantula flowing in its body. However, the celestial jade spider bloodline was like a high and mighty empress compared to the scarlet tarantula bloodline. The scarlet tarantula bloodline, which was already the top among the existing arachnid fays, was like a humble subject in front of the celestial jade spider bloodline. The only way to go was to submit to him. As the celestial jade spider bloodline awakened and soaked into the mother of bloodbath's body, the burning sensation on the mother of bloodbath's body became more and more severe. If the pain from being pierced by the black spikes just now was 1 point, at that moment, the pain that the mother of bloodbath was suffering had reached at least 100 points. The conflict between the two bloodlines in its body and the pain caused by the sun chain's burning caused the mother of bloodbath's consciousness to gradually fade. It even made the mother of bloodbath think that it would be better to die and end all troubles once and for all than to endure such pain. As an arachnid fae that had struggled to survive since it was young, the mother of bloodbath's willpower was strong enough. However, even the strongest person would be destroyed by pain. It mainly depended on how painful the pain was. Just as the mother of bloodbath's vision turned black, a voice appeared at the end of its soul. "I don't want you to die. I want you to live." This voice cleansed the mother of bloodbath's soul, causing the figure of a youth to appear in its heart. Under the extreme pain, a willpower that could overcome pain erupted in the mother of bloodbath's heart and soul. The mother of bloodbath opened its eyes, changed back to human form with difficulty, and rose into the air. He flew up along the sun chain and faced the sun directly. There was only determination and determination in the mother of bloodbath's eyes. There was no trace of timidity or hesitation. This sudden scene shocked everyone except Lin Yuan and Lu Jie. Only Lu Jie and Lin Yuan knew that the mother of bloodbath had the bloodline of the celestial corona jade spider. As one of the 3 major butterfly species fays, the slaughter sky butterfly could directly sense the aura emanating from the mother of bloodbath's body. The predator sky butterfly's eyes widened. The words chosen by the heavens were stuck in its throat. The slaughter sky butterfly had never expected that the fae that it had almost killed in its slaughter worm form would have such a noble bloodline. This was the chosen by the heavens. As a fae, the slaughter sky butterfly was very clear about what the chosen by the heavens represented. Every chosen by the heavens had a huge backer behind them. That was the legendary Heaven's Blessed Mansion. The Heaven's Blessed Mansion was an existence that could rival the Sea Race, the 3 major federations, the Era's secret meeting, and even the Pagoda Cannon. However, the Heaven's Blessed Mansion had not appeared in the world for many years. Since becoming Lin Yuan's subordinate, the slaughter sky butterfly had always been curious about how the Myth 2 mother of bloodbath was qualified to become the path protector of Lin Yuan, the Moon Empress disciple. To put it bluntly, Lin Yuan had used the strength that he had used against An He to fight the mother of bloodbath. The mother of bloodbath might not have been able to gain the upper hand. No matter how strong the mother of bloodbath was in the same grade, it was destined to be inferior to Duan He's purple demon. As a multi-headed sea demon snake, the purple demon was invincible in the same grade, and it was a fact recognized by all fays. Now, the slaughter sky butterfly finally understood why the mother of bloodbath was qualified to become Lin Yuan's path protector. If all of this was arranged by the Moon Empress, then she had been playing a big game from a long time ago. The slaughter sky butterfly had always been aware of Lin Yuan's support for the mother of bloodbath. As a myth 2 Fae, the mother of Bloodbath had received a sacred source life form from Lin Yuan before it had advanced to myth 3. This was an unimaginable honor for any myth breed Fae. The mother of Bloodbath usually used bunches of blood brew grapes to increase its strength. If this condition was made known, it would probably be envied to death by other blood-type Faes. As the Princess Royal of the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids, the daily consumption of blood-type spiritual ingredients might not be comparable to that of the mother of Bloodbath. The mother of Bloodbath and Lin Yuan's friendship could be personally felt by the killer sky butterfly when it was in contact with Lin Yuan and the mother of Bloodbath. It could be said that even without the Path Protector Oath between Lin Yuan and the mother of Bloodbath, their relationship was still inseparable. To some extent, through the mother of Bloodbath's relationship, Lin Yuan had already established an unimaginably powerful relationship with the heaven-blessed mansion. And he, Guan, Sun Jiang, Zhang Cheng, Yindai, and Yindai's 2 sea kings looked at the mother of Bloodbath with dumbfounded expressions. In the end, it was Guan who reacted first. Guan looked at Lin Yuan and then at the mother of Bloodbath. He did not understand why the Moon Empress disciple would have a favored spirit whose bloodline was awakening. This favored spirit was an arachnid and belonged to the sun. Could this arachnid fae be the descendant of the favored spirit that had transformed into the Radiance 100's southernmost lava land? A few months ago, the Azure Federation had sent a delegation to attend the Radiance 100 sequences ceremony. A week ago, when Lord Longlamp had left, he had said that the Freedom Federation had also decided to send a delegation to the Radiance 100. The relationship between the Freedom Federation and the Radiance Federation had always been incompatible. Since the Freedom Federation had sent a Freedom Envoy to the Radiance 100 sequence, there had to be a purpose. The current Radiance 100 sequence was a place where violent winds gathered. However, there was a favored spirit within the Radiance 100 sequence's range that was attracting the sun. The heaven-blessed mansion would probably immediately send the favored spirit to the Radiance 100 sequence after noticing this. There were even other hidden factions eyeing the Radiance 100 sequence covetously in the Radiance 100. The Radiance 100 sequence selection in a month's time was probably going to set off a huge storm in the royal capital. There was only one sun in the main world, and the sun's abnormal movements were appreciated by the entire world. In the sky above an island, a red-haired youth with odd pupils looked at the abnormal movements of the sun and suddenly burst into tears. Chapter 13:19. The red-haired youth wasn't the only one. The blue-haired girl who controlled the waters of the 4 seas to flood the island and the brawny man who wore a fishnet suit and looked down at the island from the sky felt the movement of the sun and showed expressions of extreme joy. The two quickly acted and killed everyone in the secret base of the tower cannon on the island. Then they arrived in front of the red-haired youth. At this time, the two were so excited that they didn't know how to congratulate Shueshua. He could only watch as Shueshua's tears overflowed from his eyes and flowed down his cheeks. Finally, they dripped from his sharp jaw and landed on the island. In these years, Shueshua had always been thinking about Yugue. Now that Yugue was dead, Shueshua's only motivation was revenge. When everyone comforted Shueshua, they always said that his and sister Yugue's child was still alive. But everyone knew that this was just a comfort. They didn't think that sister Yugue and Shueshua's child was still alive. And he was even guiding the sun to awaken his bloodline. This was truly a great thing. Just as Blue Lotus and White Phoenix calmed down and prepared to congratulate Shueshua, the two saw Shueshua's lips curl into a warm smile. Shueshua's smile was very warm. Blue Lotus and White Phoenix had never seen such a warm smile appear on Shueshua's face. Suddenly, Shueshua laughed madly on the sea. My child is still alive. She is still alive. My child and Yugue's child is still alive. Amidst his laughter, Shueshua repeated these words countless times. Blue Lotus and White Phoenix saw the gloominess and dispiritedness in Shueshua's laughing eyes slowly fade. A ray of hope for the future bloomed in Shueshua's eyes. After laughing, Shueshua pulled Blue Lotus and White Phoenix over and said with wild joy in his eyes, My child and Yugue's child is still alive. I don't know how much this child has suffered in these years. When he said this, Shueshua couldn't help but blame himself. If he had immediately gone to the Radiance Institute to find his and Yugue's child after waking up at the Blessed Abode, maybe his and Yugue's child would have suffered less. On one hand, Bai Feng and Lan Lian were happy for their elder sister Yugue, on the other hand, they were happy for Shueshua. But now, Shueshua was crying tears of joy. He did not look like a father at all. More like a child. Lan Lian flipped her hand and tossed a tomato at Shueshua. The sun is moving in the direction of the radiance. It's the same direction as our target this time. It will take about a month for us to reach the radiance sect at full speed. Let's go now. You'll be able to see your and sister Yugue's child in a month. Unlike Lan Lian's optimism, Bai Feng's brows were tightly knitted together. The chosen spirits were the weakest during the awakening of their bloodline. During this process, both fays and humans would instinctively cast covetous eyes on the favored spirit. If they were closer, they would be able to rush over immediately to help. But now, they were so far away, and Yugue and Shueshua's children were in the process of awakening their bloodlines. Could he really survive unscathed? Both Shueshua and Shueshua's children had the same physical condition. They both had half of the bloodline of the scarlet tarantula and half of the sky corona jade spider. Back then, Shueshua had barely survived. In the end, it was Sister Ziqing who had sacrificed half of her tail for Shueshua's bloodline transformation to be successful. After Shueshua was overjoyed by this sudden surprise, he quickly calmed down. Shueshua, who had calmed down, immediately realized this. Back then, his wife, Yugue, had been targeted by the Pagoda Canon's 5 pages of truth when she was pregnant. That had led to her death. Now that his daughter had awakened the favored spirit's bloodline, it was hard to guarantee that she would not be targeted by others. He had the strength, but it was beyond his reach. If he were to head to the Radiance sect now, he would not be able to solve any problems. Not to mention more than a month, even an hour would be enough for everything to be settled. A sense of helplessness and worry spread in Shueshua's heart, corroding it. Back then, his wife had been attacked, and he did not have the strength. Instead, he had been protected by his wife. Now that his daughter was in danger, he had the strength, but he could not do anything because he was too far away. Two different feelings of helplessness revolved in Shueshua's heart. It made Shueshua feel ashamed to be a husband and a father. Suddenly, Shueshua noticed that the sun chain in the sky had darkened. The darkening sun chain made Shueshua's heart clench. Shueshua, who had awakened the Sky Deca Jade Spider bloodline, had experienced this before. He understood the relationship between the sun chain and the bloodline awakening best. This sun chain was the connection between the sun and the favored spirit that belonged to the sun. The darkening of the sun chain meant that the connection was weakening. Could it be that his daughter was in a bad situation? Or had she encountered some trouble? On the island outside Raging Wave City, Lin Yuan was observing the Mother of Bloodbath situation. He released Bai Yen from the treasure cave Golden Cicada artifact. The Mother of Bloodbath could not be disturbed at all. Lin Yuan had to be wary of the Sea Empress, Silver Dai, and even Guen. Lin Yuan had to prevent them from doing anything that would affect the Mother of Bloodbath's bloodline transformation. On the other side, and he had already come back to his senses. After coming back to his senses, and he directly ordered Guen. Grandpa Gu, let Lin Yuan's subordinates guard the sea region outside the Radiance sect. Don't worry about me. Go and guard the direction of Raging Wave City. Don't let anyone from the direction of Raging Wave City come to this island. If someone insists on coming here to join in the fun, you can kill them after emphasizing it. And he then said to Zhang Cheng and Sun Jiang, who were beside him. Uncle Zhang, Uncle Sun, the two of you fly to the left and right sides of the island. On one hand, prevent fays above the myth realm from jumping out of the sea. On the other hand, don't let light-type fish fays wantonly absorb light energy from the sea. Otherwise, it will accelerate the energy dissipation in this sun chain. Guen was a little hesitant when he heard Enhe's order. Finally, he looked at the determined expression on Enhe's face. Guen still took his 2 fays and soared into the sky, flying toward Raging Wave City. While flying, Guen thought to himself, I hope no one is looking for trouble at this time. The Moon Empress disciple, Lin Yuan, has already gone crazy. For his subordinates, the Sea Empress of the Sea Empress 8 clans killed the Sea Empress just like that. He even said that he wants to fight the Imperial Mermaid clan to the end. If someone caused trouble and affected this spider fae that was forcibly awakening the favored spirit bloodline in the sky, he was afraid that the entire faction would be implicated and uprooted by Lin Yuan. When Lin Yuan heard Enhe's arrangement, he said to Enhe with gratitude, Enhe, thank you. ABC. Chapter 1320. Enhe's ears heated up, and he hurriedly waved his hand. It's nothing. What's there to thank me for? Maijin Yuekue's injuries aren't serious. I'll bring him to the other side of the island to help guard it. After saying that, Enhe leaped up, grabbed Jin Yuekue's horn, and exerted force on his waist, flipped over and sat on Jin Yuekue's horn. He let the Jin Yuekue bring him to a faraway place on the island. Lin Yuan didn't have time to be polite with Enhe, but he remembered Enhe's kindness in his heart. Lin Yuan sensed the mother of Bloodbath's condition and realized that it wasn't doing well at all. Even the aura on his body began to weaken. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard the mother of Bloodbath speak weakly. Lin Yuan, I have already exhausted the pure spirit qi that you transferred into my body. I urgently need a large amount of pure spirit qi and blood energy. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan and Lu Jia looked at each other, and the two of them quickly took action. Lu Jia let the dimensional light moth spit out the insect queen and let it mass-produce hurricane owlet moths. Lu Jia then summoned a new insect-type tumor fae. If anyone from Golden Edge City saw the insect-type carcinoma fae that Lu Jia had summoned, they would definitely tremble in fear. This was because the insect-type tumor fae that Lu Jia summoned was Golden Edge City's nightmare, the sawtooth devourer ant. If Chef Supreme had not taken out the army's rations during that disaster, at least 2/3 of Golden Edge City's population would have starved to death. Lu Jia ordered the sawtooth devourer ant's indestructible lower jaw to chew on the sacred source life form, the scarlet tentacle algae. He cut the algae into the size that the Diamond X hurricane owlet moths could carry. He then let the hurricane owlet moths play the role of suicide bombers. They brought the scarlet tentacle algae to the mother of Bloodbath's side, allowing its body to be incinerated. They also vowed to bring the scarlet tentacle algae, which contained pure blood energy, to the mother of Bloodbath. While Lu Jia was busy, Lin Yuan wasn't idle either. Lin Yuan entered the Spirit Lock spatial zone and plucked out all the dragon spirit peonies. Then, he plucked the flower buds one by one and relied on his powerful fire elemental resistance. It spread its wings made of day and night spirit silver feathers and flew toward the mother of Bloodbath. At that moment, Lin Yuan was like a moth flying into a fire, but he was far from being as stubborn as a moth. When the day and night spirit liquid that formed his wings started to soften, he stopped flying forward. He stopped and injected the remaining life force in the vitality imprint into the mother of Bloodbath. He threw the flower bud filled with spiritual power toward the mother of Bloodbath. Under the infusion of a large amount of blood energy and pure spirit energy, the belt of the sun lit up again. He had done what he could. The mother of Bloodbath would have to go through everything else on its own. During the process of the sun ribbon injecting energy into the mother of Bloodbath's body, the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline in the mother of Bloodbath became more and more active. The mother of Bloodbath's eyes began to evolve into orange and red pupils. Gradually, the mother of Bloodbath's red crystal-like leather armor was sublimated by the sun chain. The moment the red crystal leather armor disappeared, the orange-red dress appeared on the mother of Bloodbath's body. A crown condensed from light even appeared on the mother of Bloodbath's head. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath was like the sun goddess, holding the sun's brilliance. Just as the mother of Bloodbath's situation was getting better, the second and third sun chains poured down from the sky at the same time. Even the world cleansing of Myth 3 quietly arrived. Under the scorching sun, the silver snakes swam. Although there were no ink clouds, it let people know that a thunderbolt was brewing in the sky. The 3 sun chains landed on the mother of Bloodbath together, and it suddenly groaned in pain. In an instant, half of the mother of Bloodbath's body was burned into charcoal. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard the mother of Bloodbath speak in a hoarse voice. Lin Yuan, the spirit chi is enough. I urgently need to cool down now. This is the most critical step for me to awaken the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline. I need to hold on for a minute. I need to ensure that my body will not be burned by these 3 sun chains and successfully survive the Myth 3 world cleansing. Only then can I borrow the world grace to awaken. Upon hearing the mother of Bloodbath's words, Lin Yuan immediately knew what else he could do for the mother of Bloodbath now. The Slaughter Sky Butterfly was guarding below. The Myth 3 world cleansing and the first creation tribulation monarch grade Slaughter Sky Butterfly could completely help the mother of Bloodbath block it. It would not let the mother of Bloodbath suffer any damage from the Myth 3 world cleansing. The mother of Bloodbath only needed to wait for the world grace to arrive. However, the Slaughter Sky Butterfly obviously did not have the ability to cool down. This was the sea, and the best way to cool down was to use seawater. A better way was to let the seawater freeze and use the difference in temperature to make the temperature drop faster. At that moment, Lin Yuan was extremely glad that the princess had absorbed the Vast Sea Whale's World Crystal first and had not used the newly acquired Vast Sea Wave Jumping Strike in the battle with Anha. Instead, he had used the Dark Crow Withering Strike. If he had used the Vast Sea Wave Jumping Strike just now, Lin Yuan would not have any way to help the mother of Bloodbath lower the sun chain's temperature. Lin Yuan took a deep breath, and the sacred sword that had previously disappeared in his hand appeared again. However, this time, the sacred sword was no longer purple like before, but blue like the fusion of water and ice. Lin Yuan waved the sacred sword, and the sound of turbid waves echoed above the sea. Lin Yuan flapped his wings and landed on the surface of the sea. He activated the Vast Sea Wave Jumping Strike, which could gather the power of the 4 seas. The surging seawater under Lin Yuan's feet stirred up blue waves, and the blue waves spread as though they were measuring the size of the water. The distant sea outside Raging Waves City was an extremely wide sea without any tall ridges or huge islands. After the waves spread out, a loud whale cry came from the bottom of the sea. This loud whale cry accompanied the cry of the island whale embryo, but it was longer and longer than the island whale embryo's cry. If it was the cry of the island whale embryo, it was the cry of a young whale. Then the whale cry under Lin Yuan's feet was the roar of the giant whale at the most majestic time of its life. The moment Lin Yuan opened his eyes, the surging force of the seawater made his clothes flutter without any wind. Lin Yuan waved his blade at the mother of Bloodbath, and 2,000-meter-tall waves surged from both sides. The 2 huge waves carried a power that seemed to want to smash everything in front of them into pieces. However, these 2 huge waves did not advance an inch when they were 5 meters away from the mother of Bloodbath. Instead, they suddenly froze and turned into 2,000-meter-tall icebergs in the shape of huge waves. ABC. Chapter 1321. The cold air released by the iceberg weakened the burning sensation on the mother of Bloodbath's body. The sun chains continued to melt the iceberg, and the melted glaciers boiled into water vapor. This lowered the temperature of the 3 sun chains for the second time. After the glaciers melted completely, Lin Yuan waved the sacred sword in his hand and huge waves appeared again. The huge waves continued to condense into glaciers 5 meters away from the mother of Bloodbath, repeating the cycle. As the owner of the sacred sword, when he used the whale sea jumping wave strike, Lin Yuan was immediately shocked by the increase of the water area under his feet on the whale sea jumping wave strike. Using the whale sea jumping wave strike in the sea gave Lin Yuan a feeling that he could fight with a creation. Lin Yuan did not let the giant whale hidden under the sea surface jump out of the water. He just let the giant whale set off huge waves under the sea surface and relied on the ability to transform water into ice to solve the problem of cooling the mother of Bloodbath. Although the mother of Bloodbath was in a bad situation, its body would not directly carbonize under the 3 sun chains. The mother of Bloodbath was using its Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline to absorb the energy in the 3 sun chains. However, the more it absorbed the energy in the 3 sun chains, the more puzzled the mother of Bloodbath felt. In the mother of Bloodbath's understanding, the sun's energy mainly included light and heat. However, the mother of Bloodbath, which was in the midst of its bloodline transformation, found that it could only absorb the light energy in the sun. After the mother of Bloodbath absorbed the fire energy that released heat, it would quickly slip away from its body. In other words, the sun chains originally had light and fire elements. However, the mother of Bloodbath could only absorb the light elements. The fire element seemed to be incompatible with the mother of Bloodbath's body. No matter how hard the mother of Bloodbath tried to retain it, it couldn't. No matter how hard it tried, the fire elements had no reluctance to leave the mother of Bloodbath. This was inconsistent with the legend of the Sky Corona Jade Spider. It was also inconsistent with the mother of Bloodbath's bloodline memories. Without anyone to guide it, the mother of Bloodbath, who was relying on itself, did not know why. Just as the mother of Bloodbath was puzzled and had a trace of confusion, it looked at Lin Yuan. It looked at Lin Yuan, who was standing under it and protecting it. The mother of Bloodbath felt an indescribable peace and warmth in its heart. That indescribable feeling made the mother of Bloodbath understand what it wanted to pursue for the rest of its life. Since he had a goal, he could not die on the awakening of the celestial Corona Jade Spider bloodline. When Lin Yuan saw that the huge waves could alleviate the mother of Bloodbath's situation, he did not continue to summon the giant whale hidden under the water. Lin Yuan was afraid that something unexpected would happen in a while. Who knew if there would be more sun ribbons falling? If that was the case, he would have to cool down as soon as possible. Otherwise, the mother of Bloodbath's body might be burnt to a crisp the moment the 4th sun chain fell. Of course, this was just Lin Yuan's idea of being vigilant in times of peace. Gradually, Lin Yuan realized that even if he did not lower the temperature, the mother of Bloodbath's body would no longer be charred. This meant that the mother of Bloodbath's Fossa Jade Spider bloodline was growing. The mother of Bloodbath's acceptance of the sun strip was increasing. But before Lin Yuan could heave a sigh of relief, the sun in the sky suddenly seemed to lose control, and 6 more beautiful sun strips fell. The 6 newly appeared sun strips and the ones that had fallen on the mother of Bloodbath formed a sky curtain in the sky. This scene scared Lin Yuan out of his wits. What kind of jinx is this? Whatever I think comes true. The mother of Bloodbath had just been able to withstand 3 sun strips, and now 6 came down. How could the mother of Bloodbath withstand the temperature of 9 sun strips? Just as the 6 sun strips attacked the mother of Bloodbath, Lin Yuan raised his sacred sword. At the same time, the giant whale's roar echoed in the sea again. A giant whale that covered the sky leaped out of the sea without any warning. This giant whale, which was more than 3 times the size of the floating island whale, instantly leaped above the mother of Bloodbath's head. The moment the giant whale leaped above the mother of Bloodbath's head, it suddenly turned into ice. The giant whale released cold air that froze the warm sea for thousands of miles. The giant whale's tail brought up a huge wave that splashed a beautiful ice coffin around the mother of Bloodbath. However, the 6 sun strips that descended from the sun were the true power of heaven and earth. Even if the giant whale summoned by the sword skill whale sea jumping wave strike had the strength of a creation breed, it still could not stop the power of the 6 sun strips. The 6 newly descended sun strips combined with the original 3 sun strips on the mother of Bloodbath's body. Suddenly, the 9 sun strips merged into one. It became a huge pillar of light that descended from the sun. Sunlight flowed in the pillar of light, and in the blink of an eye, the giant whale completely melted. Before the melted giant whale could pour on the mother of Bloodbath, it completely evaporated into steam. At that moment, Lin Yuan had already struck out his strongest attack. The sword skill whale sea jumping wave strike was broken, and Lin Yuan had no other way to cool down the mother of Bloodbath. Lin Yuan, who was shouting the mother of Bloodbath's name with his eyes wide open, saw the mother of Bloodbath take out a wooden tablet that contained cold moonlight at the critical moment. In a panic, the mother of Bloodbath took the wooden tablet and threw it at the light pillar that the 9 sun strips had merged into one. It could be said that Lin Yuan's sword skill whale sea jumping wave strike had summoned the whale and given the Mother of Bloodbath a chance to buffer. During this time, the Mother of Bloodbath suddenly remembered the Crescent Moon Sai card that the Moon Empress had given it. Back then, the Moon Empress had only said that the Crescent Moon Sai card could help it smoothly pass Myth 3 and advance to Creation Breed. Now that it was only advancing from Myth 2 to Myth 3, it was not yet time to use the Crescent Moon Sai card. In addition, during this time, Lin Yuan had the power of creation or even immortal around him. The Mother of Bloodbath felt that the Crescent Moon Sai card was no longer necessary for it. When it truly became a creation breed, the Void Shadow Demon, Endless Summer, or the Slaughtering Sky Butterfly would all be able to help it survive the creation breed calamity. The Mother of Bloodbath had thrown the Crescent Moon Sai card because it was its last desperate struggle. The only thing on the Mother of Bloodbath that could withstand it was the Crescent Moon Sai card that the Moon Empress had given it. The wooden Crescent Moon Sai card was small and exquisite. The crescent moon engraved on it gently rotated under the hazy moonlight on the surface of the card. It was such a card that the moment the light pillar formed by the 9 sun strips shone on it, the card emitted layers of ethereal moonlight that were like a veil. In an instant, a bright moon that was smaller than the sun appeared on the horizon. After the bright moon appeared, several chains of moonlight descended like the sun. ABC. Chapter 1322. These moonlight chains descended from the bright moon and fell into the sun pillar. Every moonlight chain grabbed the sunlight beam, forcibly splitting the sunlight beam into 9 sunlight chains. Then a thick moonlight radiance overflowed from the token and draped over the Mother of Bloodbath. It was like a layer of moonlight gauze was draped over the Mother of Bloodbath. The moonlight chains and the sun chains were in a stalemate, leaving only 5 sun chains on the Mother of Bloodbath's body. Before these 5 sun chains landed on the Mother of Bloodbath, they were blocked by the moonlight gauze. In this state, the Mother of Bloodbath could absorb the light-type energy in the sun chains with peace of mind. The scene of the bright moon in the sky shocked everyone who was paying attention to the sun's abnormality. Immediately, these people had a myriad of different feelings in their hearts. When Lin Yuan saw this scene, he immediately knew that the token that the Mother of Bloodbath had thrown out had been given to it by his master, the Moon Empress. He had thought that he was going to lose the Mother of Bloodbath, but the moment he saw the clear moonlight radiance released from the token, Lin Yuan's heart was at ease. This moonlight chain had saved him many times in the royal capital's outskirts in the upgraded Class 3 Water World Dimensional Rift. Now, this moonlight chain had saved the people he cared about. It turned out that no matter where and when, his master had always been by his side. Even if his master was in seclusion, he still made plans for himself and the people around him. At that moment, many spirit chi professionals had gathered in the direction of Guan's Shocking Wave City. Those who could arrive here in such a short time were all big shots of Shocking Wave City. Among them was the Shocking Wave Guard Captain, Wang Su. Wang Su's face was distorted, and he kept cursing the city Lord of Sky City in his heart. Lord of Sky City, what the hell are you trying to do? 1.5 hours ago, the situation in Shocking Wave City's sea region had changed drastically. The lowest wave that reached the Shocking Wave City's port was nearly 30 meters. There were many waves that reached 200 meters. No matter how strong and tall Shocking Wave City's city walls were, they could not withstand the continuous impact of such huge waves. Fortunately, the guard envoy had led the spirit guards to set up a line of defense outside Shocking Wave City and used phase to resist the huge waves. As a result, Shocking Wave City's city walls did not suffer any serious damage. But even so, Wang Su still couldn't endure it. If the city lord found out that he had agreed to the deal despite knowing that Sky City was going to cause trouble, he was afraid that the city lord would directly report his mistake to Lord Cicada Cry. As the captain of the Raging Wave Guard, he had almost caused the Raging Wave City to face a tsunami disaster. That was enough for him to be imprisoned in the Pond of Atonement for half a year. Guan shook his head helplessly as he looked at Wang Su, who was furious and even used His Majesty Cicada Cry to scold him. Guan knew that Wang Su was a good person. Therefore, Guan didn't want to do anything to Wang Su, nor did he want Wang Su to be stubborn and get himself into trouble. Guan looked at Wang Su, whose face was full of anger, and sighed. I heard you say that the guard envoys of the spirit guards have been dispatched to stand guard outside Stormy Wave City. Hee, those guard envoys are smarter than you. They know where they should come and where they shouldn't. Use your brain and think, what kind of person would be able to command the movement department's guard envoys and make them do things? After saying that to Wang Su, Guan looked at the others with a cold expression. His tone was no longer as friendly as when he was talking to Wang Su. Everyone, I'm sure you've guessed the reason for the sun phenomenon. I've warned you once. If you take another step forward, I won't show you any mercy. While speaking, Guan didn't let his fae release its aura, as he was afraid of disturbing that arachnid fae that was transforming into the favored spirit. However, even if he didn't let his fae release its aura, no one could see through Guan's strength. The murderous aura that Guan released made everyone's heart tremble. As the path protector that solitary Changdang had arranged for Anhe, Guan had been by Anhe's side since he was young. And he was a homebody and didn't come out often. As a result, Guan hadn't shown his face in the mortal world for over 20 years. In addition, when Guan had been working under solitary Changdang in his early years, he had always been wearing a cloak. As a result, Guan, who had taken off his cloak, was like a transparent person in the Radiance Federation. Everyone had heard of the legend of Guan wearing a cloak, but they had never heard of his appearance or name. Just as these people exchanged glances and had the thought of forcing their way through, the bright moon that appeared in the sky made everyone dispel their intention of triggering the favored spirit that had caused the sun phenomenon. Since the Moon Empress was helping that favored spirit, it meant that she was paying attention to this matter. Who would dare to snatch something from the Moon Empress' hands? The few people who had the thought of forcing their way through looked at each other again and hurriedly turned around to return the way they came from. At that moment, the sun and moon hung high in the sky, and they were in a stalemate. The sun seemed to be enraged by the bright moon, and it suddenly dropped hundreds of sun chains. As the mother of Bloodbath's bloodline had awakened, it was already used to the energy of the 5 sun chains. After the crescent moon Psy card enveloped the mother of Bloodbath, it sensed the hundreds of sun chains descending from the sun and collided with them. In the end, cracks appeared on the crescent moon Psy card under the impact of the hundreds of sun chains. The moment the cracks appeared, a cold red light seeped out of the crescent moon Psy card. This red light accelerated the speed at which the cracks spread on the crescent moon Psy card. The moment the crescent moon Psy card completely split into two, a red moon appeared in the crescent moon Psy card. The crimson moon slowly rose into the air, and in the process, it also released hundreds of red moonlight chains. The hundreds of red moonlight chains tangled with the hundreds of sun chains that had just descended from the sky. Finally, the red moon rose above the dome and stood side by side with the bright moon in the main world. The 2 moons and the sun stood as equals, suppressing the sun with their might. The others did not know what to feel when they saw this scene. However, the Void Shadow Demon, which had escaped from Lin Yuan's shadow when he used the Whale Sea Leap Wave Strike, almost dropped its eyeballs to the ground when it saw this scene. Wasn't this the red moon that had disappeared in the Abyss world? It was precisely the disappearance of this red moon that caused the Abyss world to lose its concept of time. However, it actually saw this red moon again here. The Void Shadow Demon was very familiar with the moonlight chains released by the white moon in the sky. Back then, it had been captured by these moonlight chains. The Void Shadow Demon knew that the person who had captured it with the moonlight chains was Lin Yuan's master. Could it be that the world's moon had been taken away by the Lord Ruler's master? This was too shocking for a demon. ABC. Chapter 1323. Hundreds of trees were green and thousands of birds were chirping. The faint light spread through the hundreds of trees and warmed the flowers under the trees. Red carps in the shallow pond, orchids on the steep cliff, comfortable and free. This was a fairyland that had dozens of different terrains and was filled with dense natural energy. In this fairyland, rain, snow, clear, cloudy, day, and night coexisted at the same time. It was as if this fairyland had expanded to become the entire nature. At this moment, 13 graceful figures were standing beside a woman with 12 fox tails and a purple coat. The purple-clad woman held the crystal ball in her hand and looked up at the sun and the two moons in the sky with a complicated expression. The purple-furred woman's face was originally filled with grief and anxiety. However, the anxious and sorrowful expression on the purple-clothed woman's face had already disappeared, leaving behind only gratitude and reminiscence. The purple-furred woman sighed softly. My heaven-blessed dojo owes the Radiance Federation a huge favor. I didn't expect that Her Holiness and the Moon Empress would actually make a move for Jade Gui and Shueshua's child. As the woman spoke, she seemed to suddenly see the young girl who had insisted on taking the holy weeping moon beast away no matter what. Now, that girl had grown into a majesty who protected the kingdom. Clear splendor and blood splashed everywhere. Along the way, the young lady from back then had long since returned the favor. Now that he made another move, Heaven-blessed mansion would owe that girl a favor. Ziqing had made up her mind when she sent Shueshua, Lan Lian, and Bai Feng out on a mission. This decision was that the blessed dojo would fight the pagoda cannon to the end. The heaven-blessed mansion had not appeared in the world for almost 1,000 years, causing a stir in the continent. But the master of the heavens blessed dojo was killed by the 5th page of the pagoda cannon. The child who had been wandering outside had only been discovered by the heavens blessed abode because he had awakened his bloodline. At that time, if Yu Gui had not been in the pregnancy period and her strength had been greatly reduced, how would the 5 pages of truth have dared to find trouble with Yu Gui openly? Looking at the sun chain that was entangled by the moonlight chain, Ziqing's face revealed a pained smile. Ziqing took out an orange handkerchief from her bosom and waved it. The handkerchief faced the sun and emitted a faint warm light. The corners of the handkerchief fluttered as if she wanted to hug something. It was unknown if the handkerchief wanted to hug the sun or the mother of Bloodbath, who was suffering and being reborn under the sun chain. Seeing Ziqing take out the handkerchief, soft sobs came from the 13 figures beside Ziqing. A delicate girl with long, goose-yellow hair was using her hand to gently wipe away the tears that fell from the corner of her eyes. This girl with long, light yellow hair was wearing a gentle light yellow dress. The pears on the long dress were soaked in gold leaf, decorating the plain and gentle skirt. Because the woman's hands were too slender, and she was crying too much. A teardrop fell from the woman's cheek and onto her skirt. The woman's tears dripped onto her skirt, creating a pool of dew. The dew splashed on the flowers under the woman's feet, startling tens of thousands of orchids. At a glance, this young girl was definitely an immortal that could not be seen in the mortal world no matter what. However, among the 13 people besides Ziqing, this gentle girl with long, goose-yellow hair did not stand out at all. At this moment, a cold voice that carried a tone of concern resounded by the woman's ear. Li Luo, why are you crying like a pear blossom every day? From the beginning of the incident until now, Sister Yu Gui always cries when she talks about you. It would be fine if it was any other time, but now that Sister Yu Gui and Shueshua's child has been found, it's a joyous occasion. What's with you crying now? The long-haired girl, Li Luo, was already crying her heart out. Now that she was being blamed, her tears flowed non-stop like misty April rain. Li Luo said softly as she cried. Zhu Bing, I can't help it. Li Luo, who was crying and retorting, choked on her breath and could not help but hiccup. The short-haired woman in purple leather armor beside Li Luo shook her head helplessly. Zhu Bing, this stupid straight man, was hopeless. Zhu Bing had been secretly in love with Li Luo for at least 400 years and had never confessed. Her attitude toward Li Luo was even colder than the others. Was this a trick played by a stupid straight man to hide his love? She was really worried for Zhu Bing. If Zhu Bing continued to be secretly in love with Li Luo, it would be good enough if Li Luo did not hate her. The short-haired woman in purple leather armor patted Li Luo's back while suppressing her hiccups. He said to Zhu Bing as if she had failed to meet his expectations. Li Luo's original form is Mei Yu Tang Li. If you don't let Li Luo cry, what do you want her to do? Zhu Bing heard the short-haired woman's words and snorted. She turned her head and thought to herself. Ah! She really wanted to help Li Luo wipe her tears. Li Luo is so sad right now, Why don't you take the initiative to lean on my shoulder? I've already taken the initiative, so obviously, why can't you feel it? I'm not letting you cry so that you can think of leaning on my shoulder. I'll use the cold air on my body to freeze your tears so that you won't be able to cry. What a stupid woman. Li Luo also knew that today should be a happy day, and that her crying would affect her companion's emotions. Li Luo tried her best to hold back her tears as she said to the short-haired woman in purple armor beside her. Thank you, Sister Ochre dear. The 13 people by Ziqing's side were the 13 hall masters of the heaven-blessed mansion who hadn't gone on a mission yet. At this moment, the 13 hall masters all had their eyes fixed on the sun, waiting for the sun to form a permanent connection with the child of the Yugui and Shueshua after the sun chain. Only then would Yugui and Shueshua's child's bloodline be completely awakened. At this time, a little fox with 9 tails came out from a cluster of purple iris flowers beside Ziqing. The 9-tailed little fox walked over to Ziqing's side and asked. Aunt Zi, looking at the sky, it's obvious that Radiance's Moon Empress helped Aunt Yugui and Uncle Shueshua's child. Why did I hear from Auntie Zi that there were other people who helped little sister Xueqing? Ziqing's eyes became moist when she heard the little fox mention Xueqing's name. As time passed, the old friend had passed away. At this moment, Ziqing looked at the orange-red handkerchief in her hand and felt that her bright, kind, and dignified younger sister was still there. Yugui was the number 2 hall master of the heaven-blessed mansion. This ranking didn't mean that Yugui was very strong. The hall masters of the heaven-blessed mansion had always been ranked not according to strength but according to age. It could be said that the establishment of the heaven-blessed mansion was the idea of Ziqing and Yugui. Ziqing and Yugui had watched almost all the heaven's chosen spirits grow up. Ziqing and Yugui had always played the role of the head of the heaven-blessed mansion. After all, the head of the family couldn't go around telling their children their thoughts. Thus, no one understood Yugui's desire for a child better than Ziqing. End of this chapter. Chapter 1324. No one knew better than Ziqing how much effort Jade Gui had poured into his unborn child. Back then, Jade Gui had sat side by side with her on the stone peak, watching the clouds flow. At that time, Jade Gui had turned his head and smiled at her. Sister Z, you are my most cherished friend. No matter what my child's surname is in the future, my child's name is Qingzi. It represents our sisterly relationship, and also my expectations for this little fellow. Ziqing almost broke down at the thought. To protect her role as the head of the family, Ziqing tried her best to hold back her emotions. She reached out and patted the little fox's head. Little K, if it wasn't for Radiance's majesty holding the sun hostage, the sun wouldn't have sent down just 1 sun chain. It wouldn't have been 3, but 9. To a fae that has awakened the celestial jade spider's bloodline, 9 sun chains would be like a hot spring. But to Xueqing, whose bloodline hasn't been awakened yet, it would be a fatal blow. Xueqing would be instantly burned to ashes by the 9 sun chains. The little fox wagged its tail when it heard Ziqing. It engraved Ziqing's words deeply in its heart. Suddenly, the little fox thought of something and asked Ziqing anxiously. Aunt Zi, we heaven's favored spirits are fays that are born to uphold all things in nature. Little sister Xueqing and Uncle Shueshua both have the celestial jade spider's bloodline. Will there be any problems? Uncle Shueshua talks about Aunt Yugui and little sister Xueqing every day. Will he? At this point, the little fox quickly shut up and didn't dare to continue. The dojo masters behind the little fox frowned at the same time. Based on everyone's understanding of Shueshua, the situation little K mentioned might really be something he would do. Knowing that his child was still alive, Shueshua was probably ecstatic to the point of madness. He wanted nothing more than to give his everything to his daughter. Shueshua had awakened the celestial jade spider's bloodline and completely fused it with the scarlet tarantula's bloodline. Now, Shueshua was publicly recognized as the 17th dojo master of heaven's favored dojo. Everyone had established a deep bond with Shueshua. None of them wanted him to sacrifice himself in such a way. These young dojo masters were extremely anxious, but some of the older dojo masters were not anxious at all. It was obvious that these old dojo masters knew more than the new dojo masters. The short-haired woman, Ochre Deer, who had comforted Li Luo previously, was an old dojo master. Sister Ziqing, calculate the time. Even if Blue Lotus, White Phoenix, and Xue Shua travel at full speed and don't stop on the way, they won't be able to reach the Radiance Federation by now. Plus, Xue Shua left with his hatred for the tower cannon. Sister Yugui watched Lan Lian and Bai Feng grow up. Their hatred for the tower cannon is no less than Xue Shua's. They will definitely find trouble with the pagoda cannon along the way. It's impossible for them to reach the Radiance Federation in a short time. However, these fellows are extremely worried. Little Rizuo's tears are falling again. Why don't you tell them about Sister Yugui's bloodline? That way, they won't have to worry so much. Hearing this, Ziqing sighed lightly. Every time this matter was mentioned, it was like the wound in Ziqing's heart that hadn't healed was fiercely torn open. But since Ochre Deer had said this, he looked at the worried gazes of Li Luo, Zhu Bing, and the others. Ziqing took a deep breath and said, Zhu Bing, I remember that when you first came of age, you fought against Yugui and won half a move from him. After that, you excitedly told everyone you met that you've become stronger, right? Hearing Ziqing's words, Zhu Bing immediately lowered her head. Zhu Bing didn't feel ashamed because Ziqing mentioned that she had just come of age. At this moment, Zhu Bing was really missing the Jade Gui, thinking about how it had taken care of her in every possible way. She was a big sister who was as warm as a mother. At this moment, Zhu Bing heard Ziqing continue. Yugui's power has always been on par with mine. When we fought against Yugui in the early days, we both won and lost 50-50. At this point, Ziqing paused for a moment. Without waiting for the crowd to react, Ziqing continued. The Jade Sundial is different from you. You can only absorb one type of natural energy, but the Jade Sundial absorbs two types of natural energy from the sun. The Jade Sundial has always been absorbing light and heat energy from the sun, but slowly, the Jade Sundial discovered that these two types of energy originate from the same source, but are fundamentally different. Scorching light can generate heat, but the power of light is far more than just heat. Heat generates fire. Fire can cover up light, but it can also generate light. The relationship between light and heat complements and restrains each other made the Jade Sundial realize that the paths of light and heat cannot be walked together. Heat comes from fire, and the potential of light is stronger than heat in all aspects. Therefore, the Jade Sundial chose fire, and placed the potential of light in the bloodline, giving it all to the children. So, although it seems that Xue Shua and Xueqing each have half of the Tiankue Jade Spider bloodline, in fact, Xue Shua has received the heat part of the bloodline, while Xueqing has inherited the light part of the bloodline. The Jade Sundial divided the bloodline, allowing the Tiankue Jade Spider bloodline to exist in two parts at the same time. Stay in the guest house for the time being. Hui Yao has done us such a great favor. Xue Shua, Lan Lian, and Bai Feng can't return it. I will make a trip to Hui Yao and have an audience with the Moon Empress and Her Holiness. Before I return, Ochre Deer will manage all the matters of the Heaven-Blessed Dojo. If there's anything, discuss it with Ochre Deer. The Pagoda Cannon and our Heaven-Blessed Dojo are already at each other's throats. Try not to go out alone during this period of time, and don't let the Pagoda Cannon seize the opportunity. At this point, Ziqing's eyes narrowed. Because of the Jade Sundial, Ziqing went to the pagoda building Sacred Land where the pagoda cannon was located. During that battle, Ziqing risked serious injuries to inject 3 amethyst precursors into the Page of Destiny. Even if the Page of Destiny didn't die, his injuries would be much more serious than Ziqing's. But after the incident, there was no disturbance in the pagoda building Sacred Land. It was as if the Page of Destiny's injuries were insignificant to the pagoda cannon. Moreover, Ziqing had gone to the pagoda building Sacred Land in anger and fought with the 8 pages. The 8 pages of the pagoda cannon were slightly weaker than Ziqing. In Ziqing's memories, the pagoda canon of 3,000 years ago had 8 pages. The first page was crimson, the second page was aureole, and the third page was cyanosis. But now, of the 8 pages of the pagoda canon, the first page was destiny, the second page was revival, and the third page was eternal sin. The current pagoda canon was completely different from the pagoda canon of 3,000 years ago. Putting everything else aside, even the crimson page and the third page of cyanosis would die. It was impossible for something as disgusting and evil as the second page of aureole and candle to die. To the second page of aureole and candle, 3,000 years was a small matter. Ziqing felt that the interior of the pagoda canon was revealing an indescribable strangeness. This was the reason why Ziqing had specifically said a few words before he left. End of this chapter. Chapter 1326. Night Leaning Moon was disturbed by Zhuo Ming's words and withdrew her aura. However, the worry and graveness in his eyes did not lessen at all. Night Leaning Moon said to Zhuo Ming after a while. Next time, tell old Lu not to ask for instructions. Outside, everything is decided by Jie. Just do what little Jie tells him to do. I've heard that Ji Chengding's youngest disciple, and he, doesn't get along with any of His Holiness's disciples. Whenever he sees any His Holiness's disciple of the same age, he would inevitably fight. If little Jie was the only one on the island, little Jie would have to fight and he. If the two sides have another dispute after the war, it's not impossible for them to go to war. But Sai Moon's disciple is on the island. That old bootlicker Ji Chengding's disciple can't do anything to Lin Yuan. There are some things that Ji Chengding would have said to his disciples. These are all trivial matters. Tell old Lu that he doesn't need to worry about little Jie. Tell him to withdraw from Stormy Wave City as soon as possible. At this point, Night Leaning Moon's tone changed, becoming terrifyingly low. Night Leaning Moon tilted her head and glanced at Zhuo Ming before asking with a trembling voice. Zhuo Ming, how's the investigation going? Zhuo Ming hesitated for a while and looked at Night Leaning Moon's expression. In the end, he still told them what he had discovered. Chief Guard, I went to ask His Holiness Cicada Cry about that matter, but His Holiness Cicada Cry didn't see me and told me to leave. Then, I went to see the old man as you instructed. When the old man knew why I came, he didn't ask me to stay and play chess as usual. The old man sighed and said he was tired. Then he dozed off on the chair. At this point, Zhuo Ming no longer spoke. The matter that the chief guard had asked him to investigate involved the Moon Empress, and it was a very sensitive matter. To be honest, the chief guard did not have the right to investigate such matters. Under normal circumstances, regardless of whether the matter was true or not, His Holiness Cicada Cry and that old man would come to find out that the bureau chief was investigating this matter. He wanted to ask the chief guard if she had heard any rumors and why she was investigating this matter. His Holiness Cicada Cry and that old man should be getting anxious. However, when His Holiness Cicada Cry and that old man found out about the chief guard's investigation, they were shocked. He didn't question or deny it. Instead, he took an evasive attitude. The reason behind this was self-evident. Zhuo Ming shuddered at the thought of the chief guard and the Moon Empress friendship. The bureau chief must have confirmed the suspicions accumulated over the past 10 years through the attitudes of His Holiness Cicada Cry and that old man. When Night Leaning Moon heard Cicada Ming's words, her starry eyes suddenly closed. When she opened her eyes again, the liveliness in Night Leaning Moon's eyes had turned into a deathly stillness. Night Leaning Moon's body trembled slightly. In the end, her entire person was like a withered yellow leaf on the iron chain bridge. Night Leaning Moon clenched her fists tightly, and the bones in her hands made a loud noise. He thought about how the Moon Empress had been overcautious and indecisive when dealing with matters over the past 10 years. It was as if she had lost her original temperament. Especially after the Moon Empress accepted Lin Yuan as her disciple, everything she did was to pave the way for Lin Yuan. It was as though she was dealing with funeral matters. This Moon Empress was completely different from the Moon Empress in Night Leaning Moon's memories. In Night Leaning Moon's memories, the Moon Empress should have a temperament that could surpass the heavens and act decisively. Even if she would hold an umbrella for her disciple, she would hope that her disciple could do his best to fight for a future. Tracing back to the source of the Moon Empress abnormality, Night-Leaning Moon thought about the confrontation with the Freedom Federation 10 years ago. The situation of this confrontation was made into a scroll and sealed in the Imperial Court's secret scroll pavilion. After Night-Leaning Moon found out, she used the Spirit Guard's information as an excuse. She carefully checked the scroll of the confrontation between the Radiance and the Freedom Federation 10 years ago. During that conflict 10 years ago, she had led people to subdue the carcinoma phase that were wreaking havoc in the Radiance Federation. Thus, Night-Leaning Moon did not understand the situation of that conflict. After checking the scroll, Night-Leaning Moon realized that the contents seemed to be coherent. However, there were too many things that should have been recorded in detail. Such a situation should not exist in a scroll that focused on recording facts. This meant that the contents of the scroll had been modified. At that time, the Moon Empress had killed 3 of the Freedom Federation's top experts by herself. It was a fact that she had been injured. When the Moon Empress had been injured, Night-Leaning Moon had specially visited her. However, the Moon Empress didn't see her back then, and Night-Leaning Moon felt that it was very strange. Night-Leaning Moon's suspicions had been growing for a long time. According to the information that Night-Leaning Moon had found over the past year, she was gradually approaching the truth of the matter. Letting Zhuoming meet the cicadas and the old man was Night-Leaning Moon's last test. A gust of wind blew across the iron chain bridge, causing it to shake incessantly. But when the iron chain bridge shook, Night-Leaning Moon's body was already standing straight. Night-Leaning Moon asked Zhuoming in a low voice as she looked up at the 2 moons in the sky. Zhuoming, is Xia Dan the one leading the Freedom Federation's envoys to Radiance? Zhuoming felt goosebumps all over his body. Zhuoming had been by Night-Leaning Moon's side for nearly 40 years, so he believed that he knew her very well. Night-Leaning Moon was an extremely calm and just person. But such people were more hysterical than any other kind of people in the world when they went crazy. They were the first to know about the Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission to Radiance. Zhuoming also learned about it from Night-Leaning Moon. Now, Night-Leaning Moon was asking herself whether Xia Dan was leading the Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission. The meaning behind it was self-evident. Zhuoming braced himself and said, "Chief Guard, the Freedom Federation's leader is Xia Dan." Zhuoming asked in a probing manner. "Chief Guard, if you want to confirm the Moon Empress's matter, why don't you ask her personally? If you really can't, you can ask His Holiness Cicadas and the old man." Night-Leaning Moon shook her head gently. "Moon is so proud. How can I touch her scar at this time? Zhuoming, find all the treasures that can increase one's lifespan in my treasury and send them to the Radiant Moon Palace for Dark Moon. Let Dark Moon decide how to handle it. I will stay in the Imperial Court for this period of time. You and Yuzhi can handle the Spirit Guards as usual." After speaking, Night-Leaning Moon's figure disappeared from the iron chain bridge. While the sun chain and the moonlight chain were in a stalemate, the 9 sun chains that were not blocked by the moonlight chain became increasingly resplendent. Gradually, the orange color in the sun chains was replaced by a bright white light. The orange color around the Mother of Bloodbath was also suffused with a dazzling white light. ABC. Chapter 1327. White waves of light washed out from the Mother of Bloodbath's body. The orange color around the Mother of Bloodbath's body faded little by little. Gradually, the orange dress on the Mother of Bloodbath's body turned dazzling white. The tens of thousands of spots of light released by the dress seemed to be crowning the Mother of Bloodbath, celebrating the birth of a favored spirit of the sun. Lin Yuan looked at the Mother of Bloodbath, whose fierceness had faded, and its aura had become abnormally gentle. It was as if he was looking at a cold beauty who had suddenly become gentle. However, Lin Yuan knew that all this was on the surface. The evolution of a phase bloodline could change its appearance and temperament, but it could not change its personality. Therefore, the Mother of Bloodbath's personality before and after would still be the same. There would not be the slightest change. The moment the crescent moon Sai card bloomed with light, Lin Yuan's heart was at ease. He knew that the bright moon in the sky could eliminate all external influences for the Mother of Bloodbath. The Mother of Bloodbath only needed to rely on its own ability to awaken the celestial jade spider's bloodline. Later, the crescent moon Psi card shattered, and a red moon rose into the sky. It let Lin Yuan see how powerful his master, the Moon Empress, was. It had to be known that she was not fighting with humans but with the heavens. In the process of fighting against the heavens, she did not fall into the slightest disadvantage. The two bright moons successfully withstood the 100 chains from the sun's eruption. When he saw the red moon, Lin Yuan knew through the void shadow demon that it was the moon that had disappeared in the Abyss world. A Class 6 Abyss rift had opened in the Radiance Federation. Although it had not been officially opened to the public yet. His master, the Moon Empress, had undoubtedly gone in many times. The red moon in the Abyss world had obviously been taken away by the Moon Empress and became a part of her strength. He wanted her to take the moon in the Abyss world for her own use. Lin Yuan suddenly thought of the blue moon hanging in the sky at night in the swamp world. If the Moon Empress could take away the red moon in the Abyss world, it should not be a problem to take away the blue moon in the swamp world. Lin Yuan secretly wondered if he should bring the Moon Empress to the swamp world and use the cyan moon in the swamp world to let her increase her strength. At that time, when his master, the Moon Empress, showed her prowess, there would be 3 months in the same sky. All of a sudden, he recalled the previous question and answer session. When he asked his master about the Moon Empress spirit of heavenly blessing, the Moon Empress had said, "You don't have to worry about the spirit of heavenly blessing. Master will always be your backing." What did that mean? He had always been worried about the Mother of Bloodbath's awakening of the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline. On one hand, he was worried about whether the Mother of Bloodbath could successfully awaken its bloodline and become a favored spirit. The Moon Empress had already given the Crescent Moon Psi card to the Mother of Bloodbath. With the Crescent Moon Psi card, Lin Yuan indeed had nothing to worry about. On the other hand, he was worried that if the news of a favored spirit by his side spread, it would have a serious impact on him. He had even threatened the safety of Lu Jia, Wen Yu, and Chu Ci. After all, the existence of the heavenly chosen spirit was extremely important. No matter how powerful one's background and backing were, it was hard to guarantee that someone would not secretly tamper with it. This was Lin Yuan's original thought, but he was clearly overthinking now. This was because the Moon Empress had used the phenomenon of 2 moons in the sky, which could be seen by the entire world, to tell everyone in the world that the chosen spirit was related to her. This method was equivalent to getting rid of Lin Yuan completely. Even if any faction or person had designs on the favored spirit in the Radiance continent, they could only look for the Moon Empress. It turned out that unknowingly, the Moon Empress had already made plans for him. And he was currently commanding the suppressing mountain Kuei with complicated feelings to drive away the sea creatures that had not been taken away by the nether floating hat insect. After the shark Mang died and the storm calmed down, Lu Jia ordered the insect queen. He ordered the nether floating hat insect queen and the reef lice queen to let the eggs hatch to self-destruct. A large number of deaths of the reef lice queen would cause the calcified layer secreted by the reef lice queen to be instantly weathered. The weathered calcified layer at the bottom of the sea was completely exposed. At that moment, Anhe's Desolation bloodline Fae, the suppressing mountain Kuei, could already sense the earth elemental energy at the bottom of the sea. Upon discovering this situation, Anhe specially dived to the bottom of the sea to investigate. As a disciple of His Holiness, Anhe was a hermit, but he still had the necessary eyesight. Looking at the large area of the weathered calcified layer at the bottom of the sea, Anhe immediately thought of the reef lice queen. And he had never been to the Nyx assembly, so he did not even know who Lin Yuan was. Naturally, he did not know Lin Yuan's methods. He only thought that he was unlucky. However, this discovery made Anhe's heart start to be unconvinced by Lin Yuan. If not for the calcified layer secreted by the reef lice queen, which blocked the earth elemental energy at the bottom of the sea, the suppressing mountain Kuei could have summoned mountains from the sea during that battle. The suppressing mountain Kuei could summon thousands of mountains at full power. At that time, the suppressing mountain Kuei's defense would be greatly enhanced by the thousands of mountains. He could completely let the suppressing mountain Kuei use its shield to completely resist the flock of crows that Lin Yuan had released with the sacred source life form. At that time, it was not certain who would win or lose. Lin Yuan had said that he could still unleash such an attack, but before Lin Yuan had done so, and he would not have believed it. Lin Yuan's current strength at his age was already enough to be considered a monster. If Lin Yuan could still unleash such an attack, then wouldn't the other disciples of His Holiness, who were in their 20s, have lived their lives in vain? And he was thinking indignantly, but the next scene almost made him choke to death on his own saliva. Every attack of the waves that Lin Yuan summoned with his sword was enough to destroy the hundreds of mountains that the suppressing mountain Kuei had summoned. The giant whale that leaped out of the sea at the end shocked and made him completely convinced of Lin Yuan's strength. If Lin Yuan had unleashed such an attack on him from the start, his suppressing mountain Kuei would have been killed by Lin Yuan's attack. And he took a deep look at Lin Yuan. His mentality had changed a lot after the battle with Lin Yuan. Originally, and he hoped that when he ran for the Radiance Envoy position, he could suppress Lin Yuan in terms of strength through the past 2 years of hard work. But now, and he hoped that through hard work, he would not be left too far behind by Lin Yuan. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath, which was like a sun goddess, suddenly opened its eyes under the 9 sun chains. What the mother of Bloodbath was about to do next would be the most important choice in its life. The mother of Bloodbath had now absorbed enough light energy from the sun. Using the world grace that descended after the world cleansing, it was already a matter of time before it became a favored spirit. Chapter 1328. In addition to the newly awakened Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline, the mother of Bloodbath also had its original Scarlet Tarantula bloodline. Next, the mother of Bloodbath had to weigh how the 2 bloodlines should coexist perfectly in its body. The ratio of the 2 bloodlines would determine the direction in which the mother of Bloodbath's abilities should evolve. While the mother of Bloodbath was thinking, the Myth 3 world cleansing was dispersed by the Void Shadow Demon's intervention. In the hole in the sky, the world grace had formed. The mother of Bloodbath had no parents since it was young. From the time it could remember, it had faced the unknown cruel natural environment alone and carefully survived. It was not until it reached gold that it often avoided danger on Endless Summer. Only then did the mother of Bloodbath's life improve. During the years it lived on Endless Summer until it reached Diamond, the mother of Bloodbath had seen countless Fae families pass by under Endless Summer's tree. In the face of predators, some Fae parents struggled to resist. This made the mother of Bloodbath understand that some parents who gave birth to little Faes would be willing to sacrifice their lives to protect the little Faes' safety. The mother of Bloodbath longed for kinship, but it could not be obtained by longing. Now, the mother of Bloodbath could truly feel the existence of its parents through the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline and the Scarlet Tarantula bloodline. Since this was the case, the mother of Bloodbath simply compressed the 2 bloodlines. The Scarlet Tarantula bloodline and the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline each occupied 50% of its bloodline. After making the decision, the mother of Bloodbath rose into the air. It welcomed the world grace that descended from the hole in the sky. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath's white crown was suddenly inlaid with a few blood-red gems. Immediately afterward, a large blood-red pattern appeared on the mother of Bloodbath's white dress. The collision of red and white made the mother of Bloodbath's originally gentle temperament instantly become flirtatious. Lin Yuan looked at the mother of Bloodbath's dual-colored eyes and felt that the mother of Bloodbath's face was breathtakingly beautiful. Suddenly, the 3 red water blood snakes that it had turned into blood bones drilled out from behind the mother of Bloodbath. These red water blood snakes all had the hornless dragon bloodline. After being strengthened by the mother of Bloodbath, the hornless dragon bloodline had been completely stimulated. At that moment, the 3 red water blood snakes turned white like the mother of Bloodbath. At the same time, her body was covered with the same blood-colored patterns as the mother of Bloodbath's dress. Only the horn on the snake's head was still as red as before. As the 3 red water blood snakes danced, the 9 sun chains that had fallen on the mother of Bloodbath quickly condensed in its hands. In the end, the 9 sun chains turned into a stinger that wrapped around the mother of Bloodbath's palm. This stinger was the weapon that the Mother of Bloodbath had transformed into. The Mother of Bloodbath was originally an assassination-type fae, and the blood bone on its body gave it the ability to fight above its grade. The Mother of Bloodbath's assassination ability had been strengthened by the body weaponization form. This allowed the Mother of Bloodbath to focus on its old profession. He immediately used Morbius' true data to investigate the Mother of Bloodbath. Fae name, Mother of Bloodbath, Spirit species, bird-catching spider/Caliceri, Fae grade, Suzerain, 10/10, Fae type, Nature, Light/Blood, Fae quality, Myth II abilities Frowny Face Execution Stinger, inject blood type and light type energy into the target's body through H-sharp Caliceri. While controlling the target's blood, the light type energy can purify the target's buffs. All-seeing eye, the spider eyes look directly at the blood core in the target's body and predict the target's next actions based on the blood flow. At the same time, the spider eyes have a certain chance of seeing through the target's flaws. Light funeral, after hitting and killing the target, if the target's soul is strong enough, the target's soul can be controlled through light-type energy. Before the soul energy is burned dry by the light, it can become a puppet that can be temporarily controlled. Spider attachment, condense its own blood type and light type energy into a spider-shaped core. The spider-shaped core can withstand external attacks. After the spider-shaped core is shattered, the light energy in the spider-shaped core will bind the target. Grip of blood, draw the sun to descend a chain and use the sun's power to bind and attack the target. At the same time, draw the target's blood aura and temporarily control the target's body through the blood flow in the target's body. When controlling the target's blood, the target's body movements can be temporarily controlled through the blood flow in the target's body. Dawn Light's Embrace, accept the sun's energy and devour the sun's light-type energy into the body. Through the light-type energy, one's strength can be temporarily increased and then rely on the light-type energy to slowly recover from injuries. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Spider Desire Body, increases one's affinity with light energy, so that the body will not reject excessive light energy. Instead, the body will convert the excessive light energy into strands of hair and store light energy through the strands of hair. After devouring the light energy from the sun and refining it in the body, the light energy can be directly absorbed by the body. Concealed Spider Shadow, stop the flow of one's own blood aura, conceal all one's aura, and transform into the state of nothingness. Then use the sun as an eye to detect the surrounding environment. External blood bone, fuse one's shed spider teeth into another young fae's body and let the other young fae become its external blood bone. The external blood bone's strength cannot be higher than one's own strength. When the external blood bone is inserted into the target's body, it can selectively purify the target's dark-type curse or soul-type negative effects. At a glance, Lin Yuan found that the Mother of Bloodbath's abilities had indeed undergone a drastic change. The Mother of Bloodbath was no longer an ordinary fae but a favored spirit. Therefore, it was really difficult for other faes to compare the Mother of Bloodbath's true data with other faes. Endless Summer's 3 cores, fusion with the sky-shrouding Weeping Willow bloodline, and metamorphosis into Endless Divine Dream Summer was already a great opportunity. However, Endless Summer's opportunity was compared to the Mother of Bloodbath's opportunity. It could only be said that Endless Summer's opportunity was sesame, while the Mother of Bloodbath's opportunity was watermelon. The only favored spirit that Lin Yuan had come into contact with was Gray. Gray's ability, Weather Cloud, was a little special and could not be viewed with ordinary eyes. However, after absorbing the weather, Gray had proven to Lin Yuan that it was powerful as a favored spirit. Now, the Mother of Bloodbath's true data's abilities and exclusive skills were not inferior to Gray's. On one hand, Lin Yuan was shocked by the favored spirit's strength. On the other hand, he knew that the Mother of Bloodbath would be able to fly freely in the future. Chapter 1329. He had checked the Mother of Bloodbath's true data on his first trip to Indigo Azure City. Therefore, he had a deep impression of the Mother of Bloodbath's original true data. Originally, the Mother of Bloodbath's abilities and exclusive skills controlled blood energy. In addition to the manipulation of blood energy, the Mother of Bloodbath's abilities and exclusive skills were more about using the light-type energy obtained from the sun. Before awakening the Zenith Jade Spider bloodline, the mother of Bloodbath's normal skill, Execution Sting, injected blood energy into the target's body through its 8-sharp calicary. From there, he could control the blood flow in the target's body. After the Celestial Jade Spider bloodline had awakened, the light element energy had been added to it. The mother of Bloodbath's normal skill, Execution Sting, retained its original ability to control the target's blood and gained the ability to purify the target's buff. Due to Spirit Chi professionals having few contracted phase in the early stages, the phase grades were also low. During the early stages of the battle, Spirit Chi professionals would usually rely on the phase physical attacks or elemental damage to deal with the enemy. His fighting style and attack methods were relatively simple. However, as the Spirit Chi professionals grew, the number of contracted phase would increase, and the phase would get stronger. The combat style was often more focused on the situation where multiple phase cooperated with the main Fae to fight. In such a combat style, the main Fae would often have a lot of enhancements. These effects greatly increased the main Fae's strength. It could even allow the main Fae to fight beyond its grade. The mother of Bloodbath's normal skill, Execution Sting, attacked the target and purified the target to obtain the buff effect. It was the same as breaking the combat method of multiple Faes cooperating with one Fae. The mother of Bloodbath's seemingly simple normal grade skill. There was a high chance that he could turn the situation around at the critical moment and secure victory. The mother of Bloodbath's elite skill, All-Seeing Eyes, increased its ability to see through the target's flaws due to the awakening of the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline. The mother of Bloodbath was a Fae whose main fighting style was assassination. This ability to see through the target's flaws was equivalent to a cheat. When the mother of Bloodbath ambushed the target, it could directly attack the target's weakness. Deals the highest amount of damage to the target. The mother of Bloodbath's silver ability was called 8-Directional Blood, which used the changes in the target's blood to destroy the target's body. It could even control blood to flow out of the target's orifices. Now, the 8 Directions blood had become Funeral of Light. After killing the target, the Funeral of Light would use light energy to control the target's soul. Before the light energy burned the target's soul energy dry, the target would become a puppet completely under the mother of Bloodbath's control. No matter how he looked at it, light burial was much stronger than 8 Directions blood. The mother of Bloodbath's Funeral of Light had a miraculous effect when fighting one against many. In group battles, the mother of Bloodbath could use light energy to control each target it killed. As the mother of Bloodbath continued to kill its targets, it could pull up an army that it could command like an arm. Light burial was an unconventional way to make up for the mother of Bloodbath's lack of group attack ability. The difference between the gold skill Arachnid Attachment and the gold skill Arachnid Attachment were the addition of light energy. The light energy within the small spider would control the target. This allowed Spider Form Attachment to become an all-round skill that combined attack, defense, and control into one. As for the mother of Bloodbath's platinum skill, Blood Grasp, it had also changed quite a bit. The previous Blood Grasp controlled the target's blood and temporarily controlled the target's movements. Now, the Blood Grasp allowed the mother of Bloodbath to draw the power of the sun to descend chains and bind and attack the target through the sun chains. The Blood Grasp was equivalent to adding an elemental attack method to the mother of Bloodbath. The mother of Bloodbath's attack method no longer had any shortcomings, and it could calmly deal with any battle situation. The mother of Bloodbath's diamond skill, Blood Embrace, had also completely changed into the skill, Dawn Light Embrace. Blood Embrace was a technique that accepted blood energy, transforming it into one's own body and using it to heal one's injuries. Blood Embrace was the foundation for the mother of Bloodbath to quickly absorb blood energy and increase its strength. Now, Dawn Light Embrace allowed the mother of Bloodbath to absorb the sun's energy to its heart's content. Coupled with the transformed exclusive skill, Spider Desire, the mother of Bloodbath could convert the excess light energy in its body into hair for storage. Through the sun's energy stored in its hair, the mother of Bloodbath could quickly increase its level like when it consumed the blood brew grapes. As long as there was sun in the future, the mother of Bloodbath would no longer have to worry about hair loss. At most, it would worry about having too much hair on its neck. The exclusive skill that the mother of Bloodbath had obtained after becoming a fantasy breed was roughly the same as before. It still stopped its own blood flow. However, the exclusive skill allowed the mother of Bloodbath to directly use the sun as its eyes and detect the surrounding environment through the sun. It could be said that the exclusive skill allowed the mother of Bloodbath to transform from an assassination-type fae into one of the best investigation-type faes. As for the mother of Bloodbath's last exclusive skill, External Blood Bone, the only change was that while ensuring its combat ability. After the external blood bone pierced the target's body, it could selectively purify the target's dark-type curse or soul-type negative effects. This meant that the mother of Bloodbath's exclusive skill, External Blood Bone, also had a healing function. However, to remove the dark-type curse or soul-type negative effects, the mother of Bloodbath's external blood bone had to pierce into the body. There was no essential difference between the external blood bone piercing into the body and being bitten by the red water blood snake. Among all the healing abilities and exclusive skills that Lin Yuan had seen, the external blood bone's healing method was undoubtedly the most ferocious. Now, the mother of Bloodbath, which had awakened the favored spirit bloodline, was so powerful that it shocked Lin Yuan. While Lin Yuan was probing the mother of Bloodbath's abilities and exclusive skills, it had already flown to his side. Looking at Lin Yuan standing on the sea, the mother of Bloodbath's cold eyes suddenly became affectionate. The mother of Bloodbath looked at Lin Yuan with affectionate eyes and did not speak for a while. Lin Yuan looked at the mother of Bloodbath standing in front of him and was about to open his mouth to celebrate its successful metamorphosis into a favored spirit. However, before Lin Yuan could speak, the mother of Bloodbath hugged him into its arms. The mother of Bloodbath's arms hugged Lin Yuan tightly as though it was hugging a rare treasure. Lin Yuan was stunned by the mother of Bloodbath's hug. Chapter 1330. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard the mother of Bloodbath speak softly in his ear. Lin Yuan, thank you. After thanking him, the mother of Bloodbath withdrew its arms as if it had been electrocuted. Its cheeks were coated with a faint layer of crimson. This crimson caused the mother of Bloodbath's red and white eyes to be tainted with a trace of fire. At that moment, the mother of Bloodbath was embarrassed by its true feelings just now. It did not understand why it had hugged Lin Yuan so impulsively. This feeling should not be expressed in words. However, Lin Yuan did not give up and risked his life to save it. He built hope for its survival and did his best to help it in the process of its transformation. This could no longer be described as a simple favor. Ever since it became Lin Yuan's path protector and formed a bond, the mother of Bloodbath had forgotten how many times Lin Yuan had helped it. Lin Yuan had already saved its life twice. While the mother of Bloodbath was secretly embarrassed, Lin Yuan did not feel anything about the mother of Bloodbath's hug. He only thought that the mother of Bloodbath had awakened its favored spirit bloodline and was overjoyed. Since it did not congratulate the mother of Bloodbath, it let go of him. Lin Yuan went to prepare to congratulate the mother of Bloodbath. At that moment, Lu Jia, the Slaughter Sky Butterfly, and the Void Shadow Demon came up and congratulated the mother of Bloodbath. The mother of Bloodbath was afraid that Lin Yuan would talk about the hug just now. If Lin Yuan mentioned it, the mother of Bloodbath really did not know how to explain it. Before Lin Yuan could even say a word, the mother of Bloodbath had already interjected. Lin Yuan, I used the blood energy from the Peak Immortal Sea Emperor and the Sacred Source Life Form, Scarlet Tentacle Algae, to adjust my bloodline. After the Celestial Jade Spider bloodline awakened, the blood energy can no longer help me increase my strength. If I want to increase my strength, I should absorb the sunlight energy in the sun. The mother of Bloodbath felt a little regretful. If not for the awakening of the Celestial Jade Spider bloodline, it could no longer absorb blood energy to increase its strength. It had probably successfully become a creation breed, and its quality had jumped several levels. However, even if it did not become a creation breed, it was not afraid. With the uniqueness of its skills and exclusive skills, the mother of Bloodbath was confident that it could become immortal in a short time. Only when he reached the immortal realm could he be called Lin Yuan's path protector. The mother of Bloodbath looked at the blood brew grapevine that Lin Yuan had taken out but had not absorbed. Lin Yuan, this heaven and earth fae, the blood brew grapevine, has reached Diamond X/Legend. Nurturing a heaven and earth fae requires a lot of resources, and heaven and earth faes don't have any combat ability. Even high-class creation masters wouldn't be able to withstand the resource consumption when nurturing a heaven and earth fae. In its natural environment, the blood brew grapevine can't possibly reach Diamond X/Legend. If this blood brew grapevine hadn't been discovered by someone, the fae guarding it in the wild would have devoured it the moment it reached gold and sprouted its leaves. There's still quite a bit of the sacred source life form, scarlet tentacle algae. Just a small portion of it will be enough to give the blood brew grapevine a great opportunity. Lin Yuan had originally wanted to congratulate the mother of Bloodbath, but the mother of Bloodbath had changed the topic and made a suggestion. Lin Yuan did not insist on congratulating the mother of Bloodbath. He glanced at the Pinnacle Class 6 Sacred Source life form, Scarlet Tentacle Algae, which was being separated by the Sawtooth Devourer ant. This heaven and earth fae, the blood brew grapevine, was prepared for you. Now that you don't need to absorb blood energy, the blood brew grapevine is useless. Since you've opened your mouth for it, the blood brew grapevine deserves a fortuitous opportunity. Why don't you keep the blood brew grapevine? Once it's nurtured, I'll let it follow you. The mother of Bloodbath reached for the blood brew grapevine. Although the blood brew grapevine was a plant and couldn't speak, it could still sense danger and kindness. The blood brew grapevine had always treated Lin Yuan as the best person in the world. The blood brew grapevine's grade and quality were all nurtured by Lin Yuan. When Lin Yuan had taken it out of the fae storage box, the blood brew grapevine had clearly sensed Lin Yuan's killing intent. Lin Yuan's killing intent had caused the blood brew grapevine to tremble. Now, the mother of Bloodbath was pleading for it and showing kindness. The blood brew grapevine was like a child that had done something wrong and had been beaten by its father. It immediately relied on the mother of Bloodbath. The vine carefully wrapped around the mother of Bloodbath's hand and handed over a bunch of freshly ripened blood brew grapes. The mother of Bloodbath revealed a smile when it saw this scene. It reached out to touch the blood brew grapevine and plucked the blood brew grapes. The blood brew grapes produced by the Diamond X/Legend blood brew grapevine were blood-type fae's ultimate treasures. Even if it wasn't a blood-type fae, the blood brew grapevine contained blood energy that could heal injuries. Even if the mother of Bloodbath loved the taste of the blood brew grapes, it was certain that eating the blood brew grapes was useless. The mother of Bloodbath would not eat the blood brew grapes anymore. After keeping the bunch of blood brew grapes that the blood brew grapevine handed to it, the mother of Bloodbath stored the blood brew grapevine into the red crystal cluster diamond face storage box on its ear. Lin Yuan had already walked to the side of the sacred source life form, the scarlet tentacle algae. Lu Jia ordered the insect queen to recall the Sawtooth Devourer ants. Lin Yuan looked at the thickest crimson vine in the middle of the scarlet tentacle algae and used the tip of his sacred sword to ruthlessly hack at it. The crimson vine was immediately chopped off. This crimson vine was different from the rest. It was the scarlet tentacle algae's mother. As a dead sacred source life form, it could be used to create artifacts. Lin Yuan wasn't a true Class 5 creation master, so he couldn't create artifacts. If he wanted to create artifacts, he wouldn't have to trouble his master, the Moon Empress. He just had to wait for genius to successfully reach Class 5. The Sawtooth Devourer ants had already torn the remaining scarlet tentacle algae into pieces. Lin Yuan asked the mother of Bloodbath to collect these pieces and use them to nurture the blood brew grapevine. After collecting the spoils of war, Lin Yuan ignored Yindai, who came to his side with an apologetic smile. The mother of Bloodbath had almost been killed by the shark ray. Although it wasn't Yindai's fault, it was still Yindai who had attracted the shark ray. Since he had almost lost his companion, it was inevitable that Lin Yuan would vent his anger on Yindai. Lin Yuan listened to the whale's cry and planned to collect this large whale fall first. Whether the floating island whale could hatch in advance would depend on whether this whale fall was powerful enough. Chapter 1331. It had been a few months since he had obtained the floating island whale. The floating island whale had to consume large amounts of pure spirit chi and water elemental heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls at every moment in the spirit lock spatial zone. It was the true energy consumer of the spirit lock spatial zone. Without the floating island whale absorbing pure spirit chi and water-type heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls in the spirit lock spatial zone, his spirit lock spatial zone would still be able to plant a large number of black spirit peonies and raise various elemental shellfish. However, even if the floating island whale hatched, he still could not relax. As a special heaven and earth fae, the floating island whale was different from ordinary faes. Unable to absorb the willpower rune given by the contractor. Only by raising his strength to Diamond X/Legend could he comprehend his own willpower rune from nature. Fortunately, as a heaven and earth fae, as long as the floating island whale's strength reached Diamond/Legend, it would not be difficult to obtain a willpower rune from nature. With some spiritual ingredients that could help faes comprehend willpower runes, the floating island whale could easily become a fantasy breed. The floating island whale was only worthy of its name when it was promoted to a fantasy breed. At that time, the floating island whale's body would expand from its original length of tens of meters to tens of thousands of times, becoming a true behemoth. As its strength increased, the floating island whale's body would continue to expand. It was rumored that the myth breed floating island whale's back was already comparable to the island under Lin Yuan's feet. At the creation breed level, the area of the floating island whale's back was even comparable to the Xia region where Lin Yuan had opened his face store. When the floating island whale hatched, he wanted it to quickly become a fantasy breed. It would require a lot more resources than it did now. Moreover, when the floating island whale became a fantasy breed, he would build a real sky city on its back. However, this matter was clearly not what Lin Yuan needed to consider now. He should now consider how to hatch the floating island whale as soon as possible. And he had already brought Sun Jiang and Zhang Cheng to Lin Yuan's side. And he looked at Lin Yuan with a complicated expression and said, "Yes. Lin Yuan, I'm not as strong as you, and I wholeheartedly admit my defeat. I will work hard in the future. 2 years later, we will compete again in the Radiance Envoy election." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan looked at Anhe with some surprise. Lin Yuan did not expect that Anhe would take the initiative to show weakness after he executed the whale sea leaping wave strike. For a proud person to admit that he was weak in front of another person, it was really difficult for an ordinary person to do so. But Anhe did it, which showed that Anhe had a pure heart. Lin Yuan said to Anhe with a smile. "Alright, let's compete again in the Radiance Envoy election 2 years later." This was the first time Lin Yuan had publicly announced his intention to run for the Radiance Envoy position. A long time ago, the Radiance Envoy had become Lin Yuan's goal. It was the path that he would eventually embark on in the future. Recalling that Anhe had helped the mother of Bloodbath twice before, Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and said to Anhe. "Anhe, you just said that you need a large whale fall to help the awakening hibernation nightmare dragon improve its quality." Before Lin Yuan could finish his words, Anhe had already interrupted him. Anhe glanced at Lin Yuan, then turned around and said. "A loss is a loss. If you're willing to bet, you must be willing to accept defeat. I don't need you to give me a portion of the large whale just because I helped you with something insignificant. Anhe, did not help you to take advantage of your misfortune to gain some benefits. I'm leaving. Let's meet again if fate wills it." After speaking, Anhe turned around and boarded his fey carriage. Anhe's words made Lin Yuan scratch the hair at the back of his head awkwardly. It seemed that Anhe had misunderstood him. Lin Yuan had no intention of sharing the large whale fall with Anhe. Lin Yuan was only thinking that Anhe wanted to improve the awakening hibernation nightmare dragon's quality. He had a lot of heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls with the water and earth attributes. The elemental purity of the pearls was comparable to the water elemental purity released by the large whale fall. With the heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls, the awakening hibernation nightmare dragon did not need to exert its water and earth transformation ability in the large whale fall. As long as he directly absorbed the water and earth elemental pearls, the quality of the pearls would naturally increase after ingesting hundreds of them. Since Anhe did not understand what he meant, and he boarded the Fey carriage. Lin Yuan did not explain to He again. Zhang Cheng and Sun Jiang looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. They might not be by He's side all year round like Guan, but they had a certain understanding of He. They had never heard of He taking the initiative to help anyone. He's words just now undoubtedly acknowledged Lin Yuan and even admired Lin Yuan quite a bit. Young master, he wanted to be friends with Lin Yuan. Young master, his ears were clearly red just now, but he did not say that he wanted to be friends in the end. With his temperament, when would he be able to find a good brother who would treat him with sincerity? It was also thanks to Lin Yuan's good temper. If it were other His Holiness's disciples, they would not be grateful for young master his help just now. If he said no, he wouldn't be grateful for young master his help just now. Instead, it would cause a rift between them. Zhang Cheng and Sun Jiang turned around and bowed to Lin Yuan and Lu Jie. Sirs, we shall take our leave too. After speaking, Zhang Cheng and Sun Jiang boarded He's Fei carriage together. After Zhang Cheng and Sun Jiang boarded the Fei carriage, the lantern in front of the Fei carriage lit up instantly. The Fei carriage rose into the air and flew towards Shocking Wave City. Now, only Lin Yuan, Lu Jie, the mother of Bloodbath, the Slaughter Sky Butterfly, the Void Shadow Fiend, Yin Dai, and her 2 sea kings were left on the island. Lin Yuan listened to the incessant wail cries and said, "That's right. Big brother Lu, mother of Bloodbath, the 3 of us will go and collect the large whale fall together." Bai Yankai chased away the sea beasts and flew quite a distance away. Slaughter Heavenly Butterfly, you stay here. When Bai Yan arrives, wait for him on the island. Although Bai Yan's faith in him had deepened quite a bit, it was better to be safe than sorry. It wasn't appropriate to bring Bai Yan along when it came to collecting large-scale whale falls. When Yin Dai saw that Lin Yuan had been ignoring her and had no intention of paying attention to her, she couldn't help but feel anxious. Lin Yuan did not intend to settle the score with him and completely blame him for the shark ray. However, he still made Lin Yuan unhappy. He had just given Anha a solid slap in the face. Anha could not wait to kill him. This storm caused by the mermaid ray had just begun. When Hui Yao's holiness found out about this, he would have to testify for Hui Yao. Hui Yao would definitely use the Radiant Sea Treaty to make things difficult for the entire sea race. As the Sea Emperor who testified for Hui Yao, it was equivalent to slapping the entire sea race's face together with Hui Yao. He couldn't go on with the sea race anymore. As long as he hugged Hui Yao's thigh, he would be able to have a good life. Chapter 1332. Currently, the only person she had a chance to cozy up to was Lin Yuan. Not to mention anything else, Yin Dai had a vision of becoming the Sea Emperor and unifying the Sea King. If she wanted to achieve this vision, it was definitely not enough to rely on herself. When Lin Yuan had ordered his peak immortal subordinates to kill Shark Mang, he had said that he would make the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids pay the price. Whether it was the Moon Empress disciple or an expert with peak immortal combat power, Lin Yuan was qualified to carry out what she had just said. As long as Lin Yuan did as he said, it was bound to have an impact on the sea race's situation. Facing a person who might break the sea race's fixed power structure, Yin Dai had to rope him in no matter what. Yin Dai's eyes turned, and she hardened her heart. She simply threw away her pride as an expert. Under the dumbfounded gaze of her 2 sea kings, Yin Dai turned around and knelt on one knee in front of Lin Yuan. "My lord, I have something to say." Lin Yuan looked at Yin Dai, who was kneeling in front of him with an anxious and aggrieved expression. Lin Yuan's footsteps paused, but he did not respond to Yin Dai. However, Lin Yuan's action of stopping made Yin Dai feel happy. Since Lin Yuan was willing to stop, it meant that he was willing to give her a chance to speak. But before Yin Dai could be happy, she saw Lin Yuan turn his head and speak to the spider fae that had just awakened the heavenly favored bloodline. "Mother of Bloodbath, how do you plan to deal with this Sea Emperor?" Lin Yuan's words made Yin Dai's heart tighten, and the 2 sea kings behind her immediately got into a fighting stance. Lin Yuan was not an unreasonable person, but when faced with the situation where his partner was almost killed, Lin Yuan felt that there was really no need to reason with her. Dai could indeed bring a lot of benefits to Sky City. Cooperating with the Sea Emperor was equivalent to giving Lin Yuan a real opportunity to develop the sea. After all, the Sea Emperor was the master of the sea. However, compared to these practical benefits, Lin Yuan was more concerned about the Mother of Bloodbath's emotions and thoughts. When the Mother of Bloodbath heard Lin Yuan's words, its heart warmed. As a vengeful spider fae, the Mother of Bloodbath was more willing to kill Dai. Although its own death was not directly related to Dai could not escape. After pondering for a moment, the Mother of Bloodbath shook its head gently at Lin Yuan. It was not that the Mother of Bloodbath had become lenient, but it knew very well how much benefit cooperating with Dai would bring to Sky City. Therefore, if the Mother of Bloodbath was given a choice, it was more willing to guarantee the overall interests of Sky City first. Seeing that the Mother of Bloodbath did not speak for a long time, Dai could not help but speak up. "Sir, I did have a conflict with Anha before. But when you came to the island, I didn't have any conflict with you, and we even talked about cooperation. Shark Mang came here to kill me. I am also a victim. You know all of this. If my lord is willing to forgive me, I can choose to become your subordinate. With me providing you with the information about the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids, it will be easier for you to find trouble with the Imperial Mermaids and Mermaids." Lin Yuan replied calmly when he heard Shark Mang's words. "The fate of the Imperial Mermaids and Mermen is not decided by you. I want the Imperial Mermaid clan to pay the price. The Imperial Mermaid clan should pay the price." Lin Yuan's tone was very calm, but Lin Yuan's tone made the mermaid's heart tremble. At the same time, it made the mermaids secretly happy. Shark Mang was shocked that the young man in front of him, who was clearly very humble just now, was actually so arrogant. However, it could not be denied that the young man in front of him did have the capital to be so arrogant. Moreover, Dai could hear the determination in the young man's words to deal with the Imperial Mermaid clan. Lin Yuan fighting the Imperial Mermaid clan was equivalent to taking revenge for Dai. It seemed that Shark Mang had really caused trouble for the Imperial Mermaid clan. However, what made Dai a little afraid was that her fate would really be decided by the words of the favored spirit. Just as Dai did not know what to do and was about to plead on her behalf again, Dai saw the woman with different pupils wearing a corona and looking like the sun goddess speak softly. "Lin Yuan, accept her. She is useful to the development of the faction. You killed Shark Mang, which is equivalent to taking revenge for me. If I did not borrow Shark Mang's body and his sacred source life form, I might not have had enough blood energy to successfully awaken the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline." Shark Mang had previously felt that the Mother of Bloodbath's awakened bloodline was somewhat familiar. It was the Mother of Bloodbath's blood energy that affected Dai's judgment. Now that she heard the words, Sky Corona Jade Spider, Dai looked at the Mother of Bloodbath with a completely different gaze. Dai originally thought that the Mother of Bloodbath was a newborn favored spirit that would later be found by the Heaven-blessed mansion. Who would have thought that the Mother of Bloodbath's body would actually awaken the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline? The possessor of the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline was the second in command of the Heaven-blessed mansion. In that case, this favored spirit with blood and light dual attributes should be the descendant of the second in command of the Heaven-blessed mansion. This was a genuine little princess of the origin world. Such an identity was not inferior to the Federation envoys of the three major federations. In fact, it was even stronger. Even if the Moon Empress disciple did not find trouble with the Imperial Mermaid clan, the Heaven-blessed mansion would definitely not let the Imperial Mermaid clan off. The favored spirits in the Heaven-blessed mansion that could control the power of water and nature were much stronger than the 8 clans of the Ocean Empire. It seemed that the sea was going to be chaotic. It was said that the Imperial Mermaid clan had moved to the Freedom Federation Sea 8 years ago. It seemed that the Imperial Mermaid clan and the Freedom Federation had reached some kind of cooperation. If the Radiance Federation and the Heaven-blessed mansion worked together to find trouble with the Imperial Mermaid clan, it was the same as dragging the Freedom Federation into the water. It seemed that not only the sea was going to be chaotic, but the land was also going to be chaotic. Upon hearing the mother of Bloodbath's words, Lin Yuan looked at Yin Dai and said, "We will talk about your matter after you have an audience with Her Majesty." "We will talk about your matter after you have an audience with Her Majesty." After saying that, Lin Yuan plunged into the sea with Lu Jia and the mother of Bloodbath. When Lin Yuan was about to take out the green oxygen sea anemone, he realized that he could breathe freely in the sea. The ocean giant whale's world crystal provided Lin Yuan with resistance to the ice and water elements. Resistance to the water element did not mean that Lin Yuan was close to water. It seemed that the fact that he could breathe freely underwater had a lot to do with blue crystal. As Lin Yuan continued to dive into the sea, the light in the water became darker. The whale's cry became more distant and mysterious. Lin Yuan took out a reflection Sun King Lotus. The instant the reflection Sun King Lotus appeared, the 500 square meters around Lin Yuan became as bright as day. Seeing that Lin Yuan wanted to light up, the mother of Bloodbath raised its hand and pointed at the sun. A sun chain descended from the sun and hung down into the sea. The sun chain pierced through the 1,000-meter deep sea, allowing Lin Yuan to look straight at the bottom of the sea. The light from the sun chain and the reflection Sun King Lotus dyed the entire sea with a faint layer of amber. Lin Yuan looked at the bottom of the sea and was immediately shocked by the feast that was going on in the sea. End of this chapter. Chapter 1333. The sea with amber waves was so beautiful and clear that all life could not help but indulge in it. Lin Yuan looked at the bottom of the sea and saw hundreds of giant whales sleeping quietly at the bottom of the magnificent sea. Among them, 3 of the whales were the largest. According to Lin Yuan's rough estimation, these 3 giant whales were at least 10,000 meters long. On top of that, there was an island growing on the backs of these 3 whales, which were at least 10,000 meters long, so the identities of these 3 whales were obvious. These 3 giant whales were island whales that had reached the end of their lifespans and died of natural causes. It turned out that there were island whales in this large whale fall. No wonder Indai still wanted to fight for a large whale fall in the Radiant Sea after knowing His Holiness and his disciples' identity. Mermaid Ray would suddenly come here to kill Indai and everyone on the island, even at the risk of tearing up the Radiant Sea Treaty. Everything made sense now. The 3 10,000-meter-long island whales at the bottom of the sea deeply shocked Lin Yuan, allowing him to feel the wonder and magnificence of nature again. Of course, the length of an island whale in its prime was not as short as 10,000 meters. When an island whale reached adulthood, its body length and back area were at their largest. After adulthood, the island whale would continue to shrink as it grew older. When it reached a length of nearly 10,000 meters, the island whale would be considered to have entered its old age. In its old age, the island whale would go through a migration, choose a sea area, and land a whale fall to benefit all living beings in the sea area. Based on their body size, Lin Yuan knew that these 3 island whales had died of natural causes. The skin of these 10,000-meter-long island whales had decayed, exposing the thick fat layer under the skin. Where the fat layer was thinner, even the jade-like whale bones could be seen. Although the island whales were dead and decaying, the plants on their backs were still flourishing. Even if they sank to the bottom of the sea 1,000 meters deep, these flourishing plants were still growing wantonly. This was because the plants on the island whales' backs were also absorbing the vitality released by the decaying island whales. When only white bones were left of the island whales, and the large whale fall was about to be completed. These plants would be decomposed at the bottom of the sea as the last nutrients for this large whale fall. The 3 island whales really shocked Lin Yuan. The impact of such a huge creature sleeping peacefully at the bottom of the sea was really indescribable. After seeing these 3 island whales, although the other giant whales were also huge, they did not give Lin Yuan such a big impact. The rest of the giant whales that had transformed into giant whales ranged from 1 to 200 meters long to nearly 1,000 meters long. As the giant whales continued to decay, their bodies were covered in a layer of light green gauze. These gauze clothes were the massive phytoplankton and plankton produced during the early stages of the whale's fall as the giant whale's body decayed. In order to protect the lifeforms in this sea region, Lu Jia had released the insect-type carcinoma phase, the floating hat worm, and the reef-touching lice. The floating nether hat bug and the reef lice queen bug captured all the weak creatures in this area and brought them away. When the mother of Bloodbath awakened the Sky Corona Jade Spider bloodline and transformed into a favored spirit, Bai Yen had chased away some of the more powerful life forms. As a result, the phytoplankton and plankton that were decomposed from the giant whale's body were not devoured and absorbed by the smaller sea creatures. This caused all of the gifts from the giant whale to remain where they were. At the bottom of the deep ocean, where light could not be seen, Lin Yuan took out the Sun Reflection King Lotus and the Mother of Bloodbath summoned the sunlight chain from the sun, completely illuminating the bottom of the sea. The sunlight not only caused the number of plankton and phytoplankton to increase exponentially in a short time, but it also accelerated the giant whale's decay speed. The green gauze clothes spread from the bottom of the sea like a skirt, adding vitality and greenery to the amber-colored sea region. The vitality brought by this most gentle gift from the sea region intoxicated Lin Yuan's mind. It allowed Lin Yuan's understanding of life to advance a step further. Among the giant whale's slumbering corpse and green skirt, there were over a dozen crystal-like eggshells greedily absorbing the spirit chi and water element energy released by the giant whale's decomposition. As they absorbed a large amount of spirit chi and water element energy, these blue eggshells became brighter little by little. These blue eggshells were the island whale embryos that had accompanied the 3 floating island whales in this giant whale fall. At that moment, these island whale embryos, which were constantly making whimpers, had formed. They only needed a certain amount of pure spirit chi and pure water element energy to hatch. Therefore, if these island whale embryos were placed with Lin Yuan, they could still hatch and swim in the sea region even without the energy provided by the giant whale fall. Lin Yuan was not in a hurry to put away these island whale embryos. Instead, he summoned Red Thorn. Since Lin Yuan had been very busy during this period, he would occasionally enter the Spirit Lock spatial zone through the Klein Hub to enter the swamp world. He rarely had a lot of time to accompany Red Thorn. Therefore, Red Thorn missed Lin Yuan very much. After being summoned, Red Thorn flew to Lin Yuan's face and kissed him. Then, it gently rubbed its cheek against Lin Yuan's face. When Lin Yuan felt a little itchy, Red Thorn flapped its 6 wings and landed on Lin Yuan's ear. Red Thorn's appearance stunned Lu Jia and the Mother of Bloodbath. They did not immediately recognize Red Thorn. Although they had seen Red Thorn before, they could not equate the terrifying and ferocious strange plant with the current fairy source-type life form. Moreover, this fairy source-type life form had 6 pairs of wings. No one knew better than Lu Jia what 6 pairs of wings meant. Lu Jia's insect queen now only had 2 pairs of wings, so it had 4 wings. After the insect queen had mutated, its fairy source-type life form bloodline had reached the peak of 4 wings. Lu Jia had always wanted to use the opportunity of becoming a myth breed to let the insect queen become a 6-winged fairy. When Lin Yuan had summoned the silver flower in the Divine Wood Federation, Lu Jia had been secretly shocked. The silver flower's appearance had subverted Lu Jia's understanding of fairy source-type life forms. However, Lu Jia did not expect Lin Yuan to have another 6-winged fairy source-type life form that had subverted his understanding. Based on its aura, the bloodline of this 6-winged fairy source-type life form with vine hair and a red dress was obviously higher than the one that Lin Yuan had summoned in the Divine Wood Federation. Lu Jia had originally felt pressured by Lin Yuan's side. Later, as he mastered more and more insect-type carcinoma phase, Lu Jia's pressure gradually decreased. Now, it seemed that no matter how many insect-type carcinoma phase he mastered, there was still a fundamental gap between him and Lin Yuan. If he were to fight with Lin Yuan could casually send out one of these 2 6-winged fairies to release its bloodline pressure. His insect queen would be greatly affected. After all, fairy source-type lifeforms valued bloodline more than strength. Regardless of strength, a fairy source-type lifeform with multiple wings could suppress a fairy source-type lifeform with fewer wings. ABC. Chapter 1334. Lu Jia was not jealous that Lin Yuan had 2 6-winged demons, but he was afraid that he would not be able to defeat Lin Yuan even though he was traveling with him. But one day, she could no longer see Lin Yuan's back. At that time, he would understand the meaning of being a retainer knight. A sense of urgency rose in Lu Jie's heart. Red Thorn's strength was currently at the Silver 2/Fantasy V transformation. It had been quite some time since Red Thorn had devoured that strange plant seed. However, during this period of time, Red Thorn's level had only increased by one small rank. Now, Lin Yuan didn't have to rack his brains for Red Thorn's quality, but the problem of Red Thorn's slow growth had not changed at all. After Red Thorn's mouth of relinquish devoured the 2 source seeds and increased its devouring and digestive abilities, it could basically devour anything in this world. Even metals could be completely digested by Red Thorn's 3 mouths of relinquish. At the same time, it could strengthen the nibbling vines produced by its spores. Therefore, not only could this large-scale whale fall become a feast for all the creatures in the ocean, but it could also become a feast for Red Thorn. If Red Thorn devoured the bodies of the hundreds of giant whales that were close to 1,000 meters long, as well as the 3 island whales that were close to 10,000 meters long, Lin Yuan found it hard to imagine to what extent Red Thorn could increase its grade. He watched as the sun accelerated the decay of the giant whale's body. The massive amount of phytoplankton and plankton that had been produced showed signs of overflowing. Lin Yuan hurriedly gave an order to Red Thorn, which was acting coquettishly on his ear. Red Thorn, you previously devoured so many water world dimensional creature bodies. Your underwater breathing ability has already been raised to its limits. Try and see if you can take root at the bottom of the sea 1,000 meters deep. If there's no problem, try to spit out as many spores as you can to nibble away at the vines to cover this gift from the sea. After speaking, he prepared to release Red Thorn's main body from the Spirit Lock spatial zone. In the end, before he could release Red Thorn's main body, Red Thorn waved its hand, and its main body in the Spirit Lock spatial zone rapidly withered. Under the surging energy of Red Thorn's flesh and blood, the withered body in the Spirit Lock spatial zone was once again condensed by Red Thorn. At this moment, Red Thorn's face was filled with joy. Red Thorn, which had been nurtured by Lin Yuan as a prey plant since young, loved Lin Yuan the most. His other hobbies were eating. As soon as Red Thorn appeared and acted coquettishly with Lin Yuan, it stared at the large whale fall at the bottom of the sea. However, as a 6-winged demon-type source-type life form, Red Thorn's intelligence was higher than ordinary spirit chi professionals. This level of intelligence allowed Red Thorn to control its desires very well. She no longer acted like a spoiled child to Lin Yuan for a piece of meat. However, even if Red Thorn could control its desires, it didn't mean that Red Thorn didn't have a desire for a large whale fall. Now that Lin Yuan had asked him to take care of the entire large-scale whale fall, it was enough to prove his importance in Lin Yuan's heart. Thinking of this, Red Thorn's heart jumped with joy. When Red Thorn summoned its main body, the mother of Bloodbath and Lu Jie, who had already seen Red Thorn before, recognized its identity based on its appearance. Lu Jie was shocked to discover that Red Thorn had 6 wings. Now that it saw Red Thorn's true body, the mother of Bloodbath was so dumbfounded that it could only blink. Back in Millstone Town, the mother of Bloodbath had seen Lin Yuan summon Red Thorn. At that time, Red Thorn was just a source-type plant that had just reached bronze. But in the blink of an eye, Red Thorn had transformed so much that the mother of Bloodbath could not recognize it. Putting aside how a plant-type source-type life form had transformed into a 6-winged source-type life form, just how Red Thorn's quality had been upgraded to Fantasy V was beyond the mother of Bloodbath's imagination. After the shock, the mother of Bloodbath could not help but sigh in its heart. Being Lin Yuan's Fae is simply too blissful. After Red Thorn summoned its main body, which had 3 mouths of relinquish, it fell toward the bottom of the sea under Red Thorn's lead. At that moment, Lin Yuan saw the acid corrosion queen bee fly out of one of the mouths of relinquish. As a flying insect, the acid corrosion queen bee did not have the ability to move underwater. Red Thorn simply did not care about the life and death of its bootlicker. The acid corrosion queen bee drilled out of the mouths of relinquish and desperately floated toward the sea. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan hurriedly waved his hand at the acid corrosion queen bee and stored it in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. At that moment, Red Thorn's main body had landed in the center of the large whale fall. The impact of Red Thorn's main body sinking caused the sand at the bottom of the sea to instantly turn turbid. At that moment, Red Thorn's main body's 3 mouths of Relinquish were frantically blinking eyes of Relinquish. Then, Red Thorn began to digest these eyes of Relinquish one by one. Red Thorn hid in the spore cavity of the 3 mouths of Relinquish and quickly sprayed out a large number of spores. These spores were trapped in the sand by the impact of Red Thorn's dive and were carried far away by the sand. These spores landed and quickly took root under Red Thorn's command. After taking root, the spores followed Red Thorn's instructions and did not directly grow into nibbling vines to start feasting. Instead, they turned into small spore cavities one after another. Obviously, these spores had been specially modified by Red Thorn. These specialized spores were the first step for Red Thorn to enjoy this feast. These specialized spore cavities grew at the bottom of the sea and rapidly developed. After maturing, the spore cavities spat out spores with all their might. This continued until the energy in the spore cavities was exhausted and withered. Thousands of spores were released from the spore cavities, dyeing the entire bottom of the sea with a misty blood color. The spore cavities tried their best to spit the spores far away, and the spore cavities' ejection force allowed the spores to spread further. Lin Yuan looked down from the center of the sea and realized that the range of the pale red spores had completely covered the area of this large whale fall. These spores landed and took root, and a large number of nibbling vines grew out from the bottom of the sea. The nibbling vines that grew out were like tentacles that wrapped around the giant whale's carcasses. The nibbling vines scraped on the giant whale's body, and each time they scraped, they would tear off the giant whale's thick layer of fat and rotten skin. After devouring the giant whale's layer of fat and skin, these nibbling vines were rapidly digested. The life force that they fed back allowed these nibbling vines to grow rapidly. Soon, these nibbling vines grew from 3 to 4 meters to 10 to 20 meters. They even had a tendency to grow to 30 to 40 meters. The nibbling vine's length made Lin Yuan even more surprised at Red Thorn's combat power in the water. If there was enough life force, Red Thorn could build a jungle of nibbling vines that connected the bottom of the sea to the surface. These extended nibbling vines were very agile, and they quickly found the weakest spot in the giant whale's layer of fat. The nibbling vines drilled into the giant whale's carcass through the gaps in its jade-like bones and started to enjoy this feast from the inside. ABC. Chapter 1335. Not only did Red Thorn's eating speed increase from the inside of these giant whales, but it also increased its speed of eating. This also allowed Red Thorn's devouring vines to obtain a large amount of life energy from the whale's internal organs in a short period of time. At this juncture, Red Thorn still didn't stop using the Eye of Relinquish. As Lin Yuan watched Red Thorn spread its vines all over the seabed in just a few minutes, he felt increasingly gratified. As expected of Red Thorn, which he had slowly nurtured from a source seed. It could be said that every evolution and enhancement of Red Thorn contained Lin Yuan's painstaking efforts and expectations. Lin Yuan's face revealed a bright smile when he sensed Red Thorn's skyrocketing vitality and slowly increasing grade. However, he was a little unwilling to see the green skirt formed by the plankton and phytoplankton spawned by the previous large whale fall about to disperse. However, it was very difficult for the nibbling vines to grow to a height of several hundred meters to prey on the plankton and phantasmal plants that formed a green skirt. Just as he was sighing in his heart, the dark red spores that had not found a place to take root at the bottom of the sea quickly began to hatch in the sea. The appearance of these spores was completely different from the vines that were rooted to the bottom of the sea. These spores relied on the energy provided by Red Thorn and slowly turned into fist-sized bewitching red flowers. Upon seeing the thousands of red flowers blooming at the bottom of the sea, Lin Yuan was stunned. Clearly, this was another form of Red Thorn's devouring vine skill. After these red flowers grew to the size of a palm, they floated around in the sea as if they were alive. At the same time, they would hunt for plankton and phytoplankton in the sea due to the large whale fall. As they preyed on the plankton and phytoplankton, the red flowers grew bigger and brighter. Layers and layers of gill-shaped petals gradually grew from the inside of the flower. As the gill-shaped petals opened and closed, they drove the bewitching flowers to search for more plankton and phytoplankton. After seeing the red flower grow gill-shaped petals, he could be sure that this new form of the nibbling vines was definitely related to the large number of water-dimensional lifeforms that red thorn had devoured. Previously, when red thorn only had one mouth of relinquish, the mouth of relinquish had 12 large gill-shaped petals. After red thorn grew 3 mouths of relinquish, the gill-shaped flower petal was removed from the mouth of relinquish. Clearly, that was not the case now. Red thorn changed the gill-shaped flower petals that were originally used for decoration into an underwater attack method. Because the plankton and phytoplankton in the green skirt were too abundant, the gill-shaped petals in the red flower swallowed almost solid plankton and phytoplankton. Such a large number of phytoplankton and plankton allowed these flowers to develop again. Slowly, these red petals that were half a meter in diameter expanded to 3 meters in diameter. The gill-shaped petals also became more slender. Soon, these gill-shaped petals that were growing longer and longer bloomed into flowers that formed gill-shaped fins that were 6 meters long. The red flowers with 6-meter-long gill-like fins looked like bewitching red jellyfish. Each 6-meter-long gill fin was the best filter for plankton and phytoplankton. Lin Yuan thought to himself as he looked at the 1,500 jellyfish-like gill-shaped flowers around him. He had been worried for nothing. These plankton and phytoplankton were not wasted by red thorn. At this moment, red thorn's rank had already risen to silver rank 9. For red thorn, this was just the beginning of a large-scale whale fall. The nibbling vines in the giant whale's body grew longer and longer after eating the giant whale's internal organs. However, the nibbling vines on the surface of the giant whale had only finished gnawing the giant whale's skin, and the fat layer under the giant whale's skin had yet to reveal whale meat. The whale meat was the part of the giant whale's body with the most flesh energy. At that moment, red thorn commanded the 5 mature gill-shaped petals to come to Lin Yuan's side as though they were delivering something. Lin Yuan looked at red thorn, and it pointed at the 5 red flowers as though it was presenting a treasure. Lin Yuan saw the red flower's gill-shaped fins at the front hand him a basin-sized golden substance. This golden substance's color was purer than gold and appeared to be translucent and crystallized. The moment Lin Yuan saw this golden substance, he smelled a strange and fragrant fragrance. Lin Yuan immediately knew that this golden substance should be the ambergris whale fragrance that could heal soul injuries and increase the ability to comprehend the willpower of heaven and earth. The ambergris whale fragrance was produced in the belly of whales, and the older the whale, the higher the probability of producing it. The basin-sized ambergris whale fragrance let him know that he had picked up a treasure. Such a large amount of ambergris whale fragrance was probably difficult to come up with, even for a top force that specialized in the ocean. Of course, even if a peak faction had ambergris whale fragrance, they wouldn't take it out. They would only let their juniors use it. The ambergris whale fragrance could help comprehend willpower runes, which was equivalent to directly increasing a spirit chi professional's potential. This function couldn't be bought with any amount of money. However, it was clear that this wash basin-sized piece of ambergris whalebone was only enough to transport a single red flower. The other 4 red flowers each delivered 4 pieces of ambergris whalebone. These 4 pieces of ambergris whale fragrance had different textures and colors. Obviously, they came from the bodies of 4 different sperm whales. But these ambergris and whale fragrance of different textures and colors had almost the same effect. At most, the only difference would be the smell when it was burned. As he looked at the ambergris whale fragrance, he suddenly thought of the island whale brain oil he had eaten in the Radiant Moon Palace. Therefore, Lin Yuan hurriedly said to Red Thorn, don't worry. Red Thorn, you have to keep the island whale brain oil in the skulls of those 3 island whales for me. After saying that, Lin Yuan felt that it wasn't enough to let Red Thorn keep the island whale brain oil. Red Thorn devoured the giant whales for the blood energy, and the giant whales contained the most blood energy from their flesh. The benefits of devouring the island whale brain oil were not as much as the flesh. However, Red Thorn recognized the ambergris whale fragrance, but it didn't mean that it knew the other spiritual ingredients in these giant whales. Through its spiritual and bloodline senses, Red Thorn knew what Lin Yuan was conflicted about. Red Thorn went to the Mother of Bloodbath's side and used its white and slender hand to grab the Mother of Bloodbath's index finger. Sister Blood, let's go to the bottom of the sea together. Can you tell me what is useful to Lin Yuan? When Red Thorn had just gained sentience, it knew that the mother of Bloodbath was Lin Yuan's path protector. Therefore, Red Thorn was rather respectful to the mother of Bloodbath. When the mother of Bloodbath heard Red Thorn call its sister Blood, it couldn't help but be slightly stunned. If it was in the past, the mother of Bloodbath would feel that it was very strange for Lin Yuan's Fae to call its sister Blood. It was Lin Yuan's path protector, so calling it sister Blood sounded a little inferior. Chapter 1336. However, the mother of Bloodbath, who understood the feelings in its heart, liked the title, Big Sister, very much. This title made it the same generation as Lin Yuan. What else could make the mother of Bloodbath happier than this? The mother of Bloodbath used its palm to hold Red Thorn and put it on its shoulder. It used its hair to protect Red Thorn. Big Sister Blood will go down and tell you what to keep and what to eat. I promise I'll help you divide it clearly. The mother of Bloodbath brought Red Thorn to the bottom of the sea and solved Lin Yuan's problem. This allowed Lin Yuan to smoothly harvest a large batch of spiritual ingredients produced from the giant whale. Just as the mother of Bloodbath dived into the bottom of the sea with Red Thorn, Lin Yuan found that Red Thorn had successfully reached gold. Then, Red Thorn, which had been promoted to gold, sent a request to Lin Yuan, asking him what direction it should enhance next. Lin Yuan looked at the sea of flowers that Red Thorn had spread out and found that although Red Thorn could quickly expand its position, the explosion in the sea of flowers still had to rely on the eyes of Relinquish. If it relied on the eyes of Relinquish for everything, the sea of flowers would seem too cumbersome and not enough damage. Therefore, Lin Yuan planned to let Red Thorn enhance in the direction of increasing the sea of flowers' explosive power. Red Thorn received Lin Yuan's instructions, and the three mouths of Relinquish instantly roared like furnaces. Immediately after, many vein-like veins bulged on the mouth of Relinquish. A large number of fine aerial roots separated from the bottom of the mouth of Relinquish. These fine, soft, and fluff-like aerial roots accurately connected to each layer of nibbling vines. Immediately after, the blood vessels on the surface of the mouth of Relinquish quickly surged. These nibbling vines and the rapidly floating red petals in the sea seemed to be on steroids, and their speed and offensive strength instantly doubled. Of course, the price of this was the increased consumption of the eyes of Relinquish on Red Thorn's mouth of Relinquish. Red Thorn no longer absorbed the large whale's energy to increase its grade. Instead, it used the large whale's energy to temper its body. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan raised his eyebrows and used Morbius True Data to investigate Red Thorn. Fey name, Red Thorn, Six-Winged Demon, Thousand Eyes of Relinquish, Fey Species, Vine Subfamily/Demon Species, Fey Grade, Gold, 1 out of 10, Fey Type, Source/Wood, Fey Quality, Fantasy V Skills Frowny Face Mouth of Relinquish, secretes an exuberant digestive fluid. The digestive fluid is extremely corrosive and can quickly digest the energy in food. The tongues of Relinquish in the mouth increase the digestion speed by several times and can secrete various acids from the flesh and blood that it has consumed. At the same time, when the three tongues of Relinquish pierce into the target's body, they can choose to cut off the tongue tip and leave the tongue tip in the target's body. When the target is alive, the tongue tip can control the target's spirit and soul. When the target is dead, the tongue tip can control and activate the target's spirit and soul, allowing the target to remain alive. Carnivorous vines, vines filled with digestive juices and sharp teeth growing on the inside of the vines can feed on flesh and blood energy by scraping. Eye of Relinquish, an eye formed through the consumption of flesh energy. Every eye contains a large amount of flesh energy. When the number of eyes of Relinquish on the mouth of Relinquish is maintained below 60, the eyes of Relinquish can only store energy. When the number of eyes of Relinquish exceeds 60, the eyes of Relinquish will not be stored on the mouth of Relinquish and can be turned into an energy ray at any time. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Spore Proliferation, the spore cavity can spit out a large number of spores. The spores can absorb the energy provided by Red Thorn or flesh energy to rapidly proliferate and grow child ramets and ramets that are controlled by the mother ramets. Wither Glory, red thorn can rapidly absorb the energy from the soil and pour it into the sea of flowers. As long as the roots of the child ramets and ramets are left in the soil, the withered sea of flowers will reach its most flourishing state. Lin Yuan noticed that red thorn's newly obtained gold ability was called Sea of Flowers Jump. When he saw red thorn's gold ability, Sea of Flowers Jump, Lin Yuan's eyes widened. Red thorn's gold ability, Sea of Flowers Jump, was equivalent to doubling the power of red thorn's Sea of Flowers. Of course, this doubling was just a literal meaning. Red thorn's child ramets would increase its attack power and mobility by several folds. When thousands of child ramets were stacked together, the increase in power wasn't as simple as just doubling. This was why the spirit guards would only recognize the elite Cancer phase rampage as a C-grade disaster, and it required a C-grade response. However, the Bronze Cancer phase rampage in the Spirit Guards was an A-grade disaster, and it required an A-grade response. The Spirit Guards' C-grade disaster corresponded to King-class dangerous fugitive members, while the A-grade disaster corresponded to Emperor-class dangerous fugitive members. There was a huge difference in the degree of danger between an increase in overall strength and an increase in individual strength. In addition, as Red Thorn's strength increased, the child ramet's strength would also increase. The strength of the Sea of Flowers produced by Red Thorn, which had only advanced by 1 rank, was far from what it had been before. Lin Yuan's keen senses noticed that the nibbling vines' mouths, which were filled with sharp teeth, were constantly lengthening, causing the bottom of the nibbling vines to become sharp mouths. These jellyfish-like red flowers had a layer of translucent, red net-like membrane growing inside them. This layer of net-like membrane increased the red flowers' swimming speed and allowed the gill-shaped petals to gather together to increase the feeding efficiency. This was probably Red Thorn's gold ability, Sea of Flowers Jump, which specialized the child ramet's weapons, allowing the child ramet's weapons to have more practical effects. As Lin Yuan looked at the gold Red Thorn, he felt more and more satisfied. As Red Thorn's grade increased, the Sea of Flowers' overall strength also increased. Red Thorn's devouring speed of these giant whale corpses was also constantly increasing. However, the more Lin Yuan looked, the more he felt that something was wrong. A few of the 100-meter-long small whales had already been devoured by Red Thorn until only bones were left. However, Red Thorn was only at gold rank level 2 now. It seemed like Red Thorn had used too much flesh energy from the large whale falls to enhance itself. Lin Yuan thought to himself. Could it be that this large whale fall is unable to allow Red Thorn to reach platinum? If that's the case, then Red Thorn is simply a scam. I really don't know when Red Thorn can become a myth breed. Soon, Lin Yuan realized that his jinx had come true. After Red Thorn had devoured all the giant whale corpses except for the 3 island whales, it had only reached gold 4. Of course, apart from the consumption of enhancing itself, Red Thorn was also using the giant whale corpse's flesh energy to grow the red flowers and nibbling the vines. However, it obviously had to do so. Lin Yuan couldn't let Red Thorn slowly absorb the large whale falls and stay at the bottom of the sea with it for weeks or even months.